Hello. Yo. Oh shit. You hear me? All right. That's good. Well, let's get ready to rumble, folks. We're gonna make one right now. Yeah, Dooby's wild, man. I'm gonna call him racist again if I have to. I hope he doesn't force me to do that. Yeah, I like Mandy. It's a good movie. I feel like there's another movie I saw. Colorado Space. I saw, which I also liked. I think I liked Mandy more. But they're both like purple Nicolas Cage movies. You hope I do it early? Oh, you have to go to bed or something? Is it late where you are? I'll call Dooby racist towards the beginning so that you can enjoy it. All right. I'm in the voice chat. In a voice chat. I guess I have to wait for Stardust to pull me in. Mandy is like purple. The movie is just purple. A lot of, I guess it's more like dark red. There's just like lots of shots in it are purple or red, and then Colorado Space also, lots of it is just purple and red. Creep. Yeah, I've seen Creep. I like Creep. What do I think of the Twitch space? I feel like it's a little tame and careful and cautious, and everybody's very like everybody's super cautious and political, and then like but you have to pretend you're not being political.
This camera angle has a cat, so it's pretty good.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing. Oh shit, that's loud. Wait. I can't hear you. No. What? What just happened? I don't understand. Was that super loud for you guys or just me?
Hello?
Hello?
Hey,
Hello?
how's it going?
Yeah. It's going okay. How's my level? How do I sound?
Sounds good.
Okay. You're kind of distorted or peaking or something. Is that just me?
Oh, am I?
I hear everyone fine, so yeah, it's probably you.
She's fine for me too.
Hang on, I'm gonna have to reconnect, so give me a minute.
Okay.
Jeez, I know I'm irritating, but wow. I wasn't expecting that. They are a little quiet. Okay, I'll turn them up.
Okay. My chat says you did clip a bit, but I don't know if that's me making you clip.
Hmm.
Do you have your gain up?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Stardust.
You, Mr. Girl.
No. I'm gonna have to adjust you guys individually in Discord because you're all different volumes.
No
Cheers.
problem. Take your time.
Yeah.
We always start like a few minutes behind, so.
Okay, yeah, I think you're clipping
yeah.
Stardust.
Oh no.
Every time I tell Eric I'm running late, he reminds me that I'm Spanish. It's kind of rude.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I had
Little
a
sus.
that professor who got me arrested told our class about CP time.
CP time.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Colored people
Mm.
time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's very true. Yeah, yeah. Indian people are really bad about it. Like if a wedding says like, that it's happening at like 5 o'clock, you shouldn't show up until like 8 or 8:30.
Oh, you know what? You were cranked in my Discord from last time. That's why it's my fault.
Mm.
What up, Dooby?
One time we had a Thanksgiving where the person who was in charge of bringing the turkey didn't show up until midnight.
Is this the face reveal, Dooby? Oh, okay. Never mind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I was fucking with you. 1 second.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow. What a tease.
How
I
dare
was
you.
wondering why you weren't speaking.
That's way better. Yeah, that's way better.
What's behind you?
It's Rat Dog. I'll fix
It's his
it.
Twitter pic.
Yeah, Zonia's she'll be here soon, so don't worry about it.
There we go.
Okay. I don't know how to use my computer.
That's okay. I barely know
I
how
feel
to use
that.
computers as well. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Oh, I don't.
Uh-oh. We lost another person.
That's not
This
good.
always happens. At the very beginning, it always happens like this. We lose people, they join. Zonia's rebooting her computer. Let me
Okay.
see.
Yeah, Zonia's ambushing me, huh? Is that what's happening? Because she talked to me
yeah,
about
sure.
doing. Well, I think we're gonna have to talk about that when she gets back on. Because she talked to me about streaming, and I said I'll let you know, and now like she's here, and I'm like forced.
Well, to be
I'm
fair,
no,
I invited her. So.
yeah. Well, you enabled her to ambush me, and now I'm in public. There's no way I can get out of talking to her now.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm just gonna. It's a curveball. It's not what I was expecting.
Well, this is a very intense blood sports debate
I know.
show, so yeah.
Wait, do people know what the topics are? Am I in the dark?
No,
No.
nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the topics because I like to keep people guessing.
But you know the topics, right?
I do know the
No.
topics, yeah.
Hey, Chaeiry.
Hey, bestie. How you doing?
It's good to finally meet you.
What are you talking about?
We've never talked before.
Oh, never mind. That's in my head. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah. We've talked in your head, but we have not talked in reality.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, in your head, what did we talk about? What was that like?
We debated veganism.
Yeah. What did we say? What did I say?
You were arguing somewhere down the line of something about horses. I don't remember.
Oh, it makes
sounds like
sense.
something
Makes a
I would
lot of
say.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. How are you doing, Zonia?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Been running around and trying to wrap things as quickly as possible, and then I get on here almost just in time, and then my system starts having issues. So
I was
Zonia,
supposed to
you're
start my stream like an hour earlier, and I had audio issues, so it's sorry.
Zonia, it's nice to meet you, but you're ambushing me.
yeah, all right. I need to quit the panel, guys. Sorry.
I appreciate
Wait.
that. You don't want to put me in an awkward position.
Yeah.
No, it's
By
nice
the
to.
way, Stardust, you need to update the title to be ambush debate.
Yeah. Is this an intervention?
Look, remember to
I-
say we. Remember to say we. We feel.
Right. You're right. You're completely right. Okay, guys, let me do the intro real quick for the chat because the chat expects this from me, and then you guys will give your intro. Okay.
Okay.
Chat. Only you can hear the music behind me because I haven't figured out yet. This is very intense music. I haven't figured out yet how to broadcast that to all the panelists. Excuse me. Welcome once again to another Chaoscast where everything always starts not smoothly. Things are always there are a lot of obstacles. I have a hard time with it. I've had enough, okay? It's not even started and I've had enough, okay? And I'm pretty sure everybody on this panel has had enough too. I am enough. Okay, I mean not enough. I've had enough. God, dude, I can't speak today. Chat, it's up to you. You decide. You decide who wins this. And we talk about the most important topics here. Other panel shows, they may run away because they're scared, but we don't do that. We don't do that. We talk about things here. OMG, she's losing. I'm not losing it. I'm not losing it. Cringe? Excuse you. You're cringe. Fuck you. Your whole mom is cringe, okay?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. All right.
That was deep.
Thanks. So, Chaeiry, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chaeiry, and I stream.
Dooby.
I'm Dooby. I'm the least racist frog.
Oh. Oh, we'll see about that.
Mr. Girl.
I'm Mr. Girl. Hey, are we all looking at our chats? What's the etiquette with looking at your chat? What's the...
So chat is involved in it. Well, my chat is involved in this, at least in the voting process. So I try to, I keep track of what they're doing and what they're voting, but that's about it. So.
Are you guys going to look at your chat? Sherry, are you going to look at your chat?
I don't have a chat, but I'm looking at your chat and Stardust chat. And I'm about to pull up a Chaeiry chat if she has one. Is there in the chat if she has
I'm
one?
not
Damn.
streaming.
Because it makes me happy when people in chat get uncomfortable about the tongue thing. So I just I like to time it for
You
reaction.
fuck your tongue thing.
Whoa. Okay. So it's Zonia, what about you? Do you have a chat?
I'm not live yet because I'm still having issues left over even after rebooting. So for now,
Damn.
no chat.
Sorry.
Okay, so it's just me and Stardust. So Stardust, you're looking at your chat. I'm gonna look at my chat if you're looking at yours.
Yeah. I'll look at yours too. So don't worry.
Shit. I can't handle all that. All right. Yeah, I'm Mr. Girl. That's it.
That's it. Okay. All right, Zonia.
I'm here because I agree with everything that Mr. Girl has ever said, and I put all my weight behind him, and I'm also friends with Stardust. So
Thank you.
basically, I'm here to get canceled.
Hey, if you didn't get canceled for last night, I think you're gonna be okay. So.
Wait, what did I do last night?
You didn't do anything. I did everything last night. I started asking about transracialism last night. That was yeah. Anyways.
Oh no.
Doomer Media or Doomerpolitics.
Yeah, I'm Doomer Media. I have a Twitter account where I talk about uploading YouTube videos and a YouTube channel where I don't upload videos. It's great.
Awesome. Yeah, you made the very infamous is Vosh evil, right? Unironically evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we
Wait,
ever
is he?
Evil
determine?
video. I mean, you have to watch the video and find out, I guess.
It makes
All
a
right,
really good
I'll
piece,
check it out.
actually. You should watch it. It's a great video.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay. All right. So the very first question I have for you guys is first off, how dare you? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. If you could eat any inedible object safely, what would you eat?
I think plutonium. Like, I feel like that would be really awesome. Like, imagine what you could do. You could screw with cell phones when you're around people. You could screw with photosensitive things, film, if that were really a thing these days. You can screw with camera sensors. Like, imagine people trying to take pictures of you and getting a whole bunch of grain instead of actually seeing you. You'd be almost invulnerable when it comes to surveillance and such, especially if you could consume a whole bunch of plutonium. I have a feeling, though, it'd probably give you the runs.
Does it still have the normal taste?
Well, that would be extremely hot, I guess, right?
That's sort of the relevant question.
See, you
is
just
Like,
need
we're
like
back to
so,
spicy butthole discourse again.
so
Are
to answer
we-
this question, you thought of fucking with people. I was just thinking about like the texture of the thing I'd be chewing.
that's what I was thinking about too.
And
My mind also immediately went to like customizing a base in a video game. It's like what maybe you could eat your walls and there'd be something functional about that or something.
I'm
Seems
just
dumb as fuck. But I don't
I'm
know.
just more thinking that in relevance to our surveillance state that we live in, right? Like, that's probably where I would go to is like, how do I circumvent just constantly being surveilled, right?
Well, I've accepted that. Made my
I feel
peace
like
with
it'd
it.
be tinfoil for me, because I used to chew tinfoil when I was a kid, which is
Okay.
apparently
Gross,
bad,
dude.
which is
No
apparently
wonder you're
bad,
the way you are.
right?
What the fuck?
No, I used to do that
So,
too.
but every so often, right, I'll
A lot
see
makes
tinfoil, right, when I'm in my kitchen, and like I get this like urge to just like chew on it, and I can like feel it in my teeth. I don't know why, but I can kind of remember what the taste was like, and I feel like I'd eat that all the time if I could.
I would eat
That's
racism.
painful. You would eat racism.
Yeah.
An abstract
Oh,
concept.
specifically Dooby's racism.
No,
Okay.
racist. What the
I
fuck?
Wait, what's wrong with racism?
That would
I would
definitely
eat
give
it.
you the runs.
Wait, hold on. So if you ate racism, I'd need to like stick around you and be racist to make sure that you were fed, basically. So I feel like you're encouraging me to be racist.
Yeah, you should
No,
hang
I
out
would
with
eat it
Chaeiry
out of
sometimes.
you.
You're saying he
eat it out
can't
of
eat
me.
anything but racism now?
Yeah, that's not
Instead
the
of eating
question.
out his butthole, you're eating out his racism.
Yes.
Yeah, the question is just if you could eat anything that was inedible, what would you eat, right?
Dooby's
it's not
racism.
necessarily saying.
Are we like?
This is-
Are we
Oh,
like
that is a good. That's a
Dooby.
good. That's a
Yeah.
good modifier though. Once everybody finishes, maybe we'll change it to that. So
Wait, hold on. So when you say you're gonna eat my racism, right? So are you imagining yourself as like a vampire that needs to like suck it out of me, or is it more like it's in the air around me when I speak, and you like
True.
suck it up through the air?
do you have to like make
absorb-
out with him to get like to suck all the racism out of him?
Put your time back.
Then you'd have to start tonguing racists all the time.
I mean, that's kind of a plus, right?
Is it?
These are things to consider, actually.
You okay,
I can
Mr.
hear
Paul?
the gears grinding inside.
Yeah. So is the question like we get to basically unlock one thing we can eat? Because I think I would
Yeah.
unlock fake fruit. So like if I accidentally like went to someone's house and there was like a fake apple and I picked it up and bit it, that I'd just be able to eat it without consequence. That seems like a very functional thing to unlock.
I would unlock Pringles.
Wow.
You can't eat them currently?
Brave.
No, that's not edible.
Hmm.
Oh,
Why
I
isn't
get
it?
it. That's funny. That's very funny. Yeah, she's
I
saying
feel like
Pringles
it's not
suck.
funny when you say it's funny.
Well, I thought it was funny. Wait,
Thank you,
I didn't mean to ruin the joke. I'm sorry. You okay,
It's
Mr.
okay.
Girl?
Well, yeah, I'm
really
okay.
stuck on that. I'm really stuck on the racism thing because now I'm imagining it's like a mosquito or something. But is there like a specific part of me you need to suck on to get the racism, or is it
Well,
like
what if it's through your butt, dude? What if all your racism
That'd
is
be fucking
contained in your
awkward.
butt?
that'd be
It'd
strange?
be so weird.
You could add some like peanut butter or something to make
When I
that
meet
a lot
racists,
easier.
I feel like they're pretty like clenched up back there, so that would actually make sense.
That's true. Every racist I've talked to usually seems to have a very tight butthole. Did you hear the level of tightness in Mr. Southern Dingo? Like, that dude clearly has a
Yeah.
clogged butt.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just sounds like constipation, like incarnate.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Dude,
he's got
backed up with a
so
lot
much
of stuff.
trouble. Yeah, he's full
Yeah,
of shit,
very
dude. I
backed
hope
up.
he gets some laxative soon. Mr. Girl, did you want to change your answer since we're talking? Or you wanna
No,
stick
no,
with-
no. I want to stick by my
Okay.
answer. I don't
Okay,
have a
alright.
lot to say about this question. I'm waiting for something I can really sink my teeth into.
Like Dooby's
So,
racism?
Literally and figuratively.
yeah.
I'm not a
Okay.
racist.
Okay, Dooby. All right. So I guess we can add that modifier. I thought that was a pretty good modifier. Like, if that was like the only thing you could eat from now on, how would you do it?
Yeah, mine is tinfoil. I'm sticking by that. I kind
Okay.
of want to go get tinfoil right now and chew on it. Like that's
Don't
the
do that. That's
I don't
so
know what it
weird.
is. I really I don't know what it is. I remember chewing on it a lot when I was a kid.
Do
I
you
think I
have
started with
teeth
about
still?
Is there like a
yes, I have
pica thing?
teeth. My teeth are beautiful, okay? But I remember I think it started with like gum wrappers. And I don't know. Like I it was a habit I had for a while. And ever since like I stopped, like every time I see tinfoil or think about tinfoil, I just get this feeling like I just want this one tinfoil. I don't know why. It's fucking weird.
Very
Ever
strange.
since, wait, like how young were you when you wanted to eat tinfoil? And was it around
I
the
must
same
have been
time
like
when you started to become racist?
uh
I think there's a
it must have been
correlation.
like kindergarten, I think. But I don't know. See, I'm not a racist, so it wouldn't really like correlate with me being a racist at any
You
point.
are you are.
I'm so racist. I'm like an anti-racist.
Are you not racist because Mr. Girl sucked out all your racism?
Not yet. If that's gonna happen at some point, I'd be more racist to encourage that activity.
Are you hitting on him right now? Is that what's happening?
No, I'm trying to feed him.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
That's fair. It's like it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
We still never established if it comes out of the butt or it comes out of the mouth, or what.
Well, I assume that if Dooby is innately racist, it would be coursing through his veins, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he's got racism coursing through his veins.
Yeah.
It could be like that scene in Lord of the Rings where like Gandalf expels the dude from the other dude.
What? I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, there's like the king and he's all like old and
Wormtongue.
like raggedy. Yeah, Wormtongue.
Yeah.
And Wormtongue's like possessing him or something, and Gandalf does a thing and like breaks him out, and then he's like young again or something. I don't know. I haven't seen Lord of the Rings in a while. So maybe you could do like cast out the racism like with a spell.
Okay.
Can I ask Mr. Girl a question?
Yeah.
Do you actually think I'm a racist?
Yes.
Like for real?
Yes.
Like how racist if you had to put it like on a spectrum?
Like 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Is
That's
that
pretty
more or less
racist.
than you're like?
My
than
my
you
chat
are,
is
like,
begging me to leave the stream. I'm watching. Are you watching? Are you
Really?
guys seeing my chat? Yeah, I'm watching my
I gotta
career.
see this.
I quit my last day of work was yesterday. I quit
I
my
am
day
seeing
job,
this.
and I'm watching my career end in my chat right now
Wait, why?
All right, pulling up Chaeiry now. Give me a second.
because
Oh
they
no, chat is so mad at me.
because
Sorry,
Are
chat.
they mad at
they
Dooby?
hate the conversation. They're telling me to leave. Yeah. I think because they want something more controversial.
Serious?
Yeah, maybe more
We
serious.
can get to it.
Chat generally is a bunch of like no-lifers that get really parasocial and follow you around on the internet.
Look,
So,
Mr. Girl,
I want
this
you to
is your
ignore them for now, and I'd like to just ask you a question. So, is that like more
mean-
or less? Am I more or less a racist than you are a rapist? If we had to put them on the spectrum.
You are more of a racist than I am a rapist.
How?
Well,
That doesn't
I
make
think
any
there's two things here. I don't believe that most rapists are pro-rape. Like, there's the belief system of rape, and then there's the action of it. And I feel like most rapists, if you were like, do you think rape should be legal? They would be like, no.
Wait, but
And so your ideology
That
is
doesn't make any
racist,
sense.
whereas your actions. So by action, I might be more of a rapist. I don't know if you actually do racist things, but by ideology, I think you're more of a racist.
how's my ideology more racist than your activity is rapist?
No, I don't. I think because I'm technically a rapist. But I feel like that applies to a lot of people. I think you say things about race that a lot of people won't say.
I don't think that makes any sense. I think that my
That's all I got for you.
prescription, which was that like white women should cross the road to avoid black people if they felt threatened by it, and that'd be totally fine and not racist. And also that stop and frisk was a good thing, which is also true, by the way. And that you know, if there are areas where there's like high poverty, high crime, and high, you know, numbers of like black and brown people, it's totally fine for police to take that into account when they stop these people.
Dooby, I know you're lying. What are you talking about? Stop and frisk was a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's generally a good thing for sure.
Why?
I think it massively helped the communities that got
What
stopped.
communities?
All we needed was Dooby.
Black
All
and
we
brown
needed.
communities,
That's true.
specifically. Because
Black
so it is
communities
true.
appreciated stop and frisk, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the ones that weren't criminals for sure.
The ones who were criminals appreciated
Who were
it.
not criminals.
Well,
Also, to be
the
fair,
ones who
those
were
who have a
not
stop and
criminals.
frisk kink.
You're just
Yeah.
lying.
This is we
Wait,
already
wait,
had
wait,
this
hold on.
conversation.
Wait. The ones who were not criminals appreciated being stopped for nothing
Well, they weren't being stopped for nothing. They were being
and frisked for nothing?
No, some people like a good frisking once in a while, but beyond that,
I
they
think
weren't
most
being
people
stopped and
don't.
frisked for nothing.
Frisking.
They weren't being stopped and frisked for nothing, right? They were being stopped and frisked because their community was identified as a high crime area, right? So they needed the police there. A lot
What
of
do
these
you wait? No.
community leaders
Shut up.
asked
Shut
the
up.
police to be
You
there.
literally can
Right, so-
stop and frisk them
Oh
for
my
nothing.
God.
That is the point of stop and frisk. You don't need a reason.
But the reason they were there wasn't just.
Don't say they weren't
just
stopped
for no
and frisked
reason.
for nothing. They literally are
existed
stopped
there,
and frisked for
And
nothing.
the policy existed.
No,
for a
explain
reason.
yourself.
There was a reason behind this. They didn't just decide one day to just show up in these communities and start frisking people. They did it because there's high
No.
crime, high
You're
drugs,
explaining
high
why it
gang
was put into
activity.
place. Now
and murder,
explain
high
why
rape.
a cop would stop and frisk somebody. You're saying that there's a reason, but the whole point of stop and frisk was that they could stop and frisk you for no reason.
Well, I think the cop. I don't think the cop needed to like outline a reason, but I think most police in the area, and
Exactly.
most
So
of the
they were
community
stopped and
members-
frisked for no reason,
Well, no,
correct?
but most of the community members could spot somebody and
I'm correct.
have a good indication that this person was involved in some kind of gang activity or might be up to no good. For example, if there's a bunch of people loitering on a corner somewhere, right, if they're there for an hour or so, you might assume that they're selling drugs on the corner. Because lots of people do. If they're dressed a certain way, maybe they have like a red bandana, you might assume that
Oh
they're
my
part of
god,
the
Dooby, if they
Right,
dress a
this is-
certain way, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
absolutely,
see,
yeah.
this is why everybody hates me for being friends with Dooby.
Because I only speak the truth, okay? I don't know what to tell you guys.
All right.
Gangs have uniforms.
Well, there's your controversial topic, Mr. Girl.
No, it's not because I already had this conversation with Dooby for like 3
Yeah,
hours,
yeah.
like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Fuck,
I
dude.
still
you
think
guys-
plutonium is better. I'd rather glow. Wait, I shouldn't have said that.
Okay.
No, I'm not FBI.
All right. Okay. I have to stop looking at chat. Okay.
They're-
all right.
they're
Next
really
next
upset.
next one. Yeah,
Okay.
they're really upset.
They are.
Yeah. I'm sorry, chat. Look, what did you expect? This is what it is every week. Okay. I try to warn people. It is what it is.
Zodiac confirmed CIA handler for Vivian Wolf.
Next question. All right. Next question is fuck, dude. Then well, okay. Now I'm thinking too hard about my list of questions here. But do I go with something more serious or less serious?
More serious.
I don't know.
Go with
More
serious.
serious?
I vote for
Go
more
Okay,
serious. If
Go
this is
more
a democratic
cancelable.
process.
Whatever is more cancelable.
Okay. All right. Well, if we want to go really full cancelable, we can talk about transracialism again.
Based?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think?
Okay. Who's the dumb fuck that believes in transracialism?
I think it's totally fine.
I don't
Yeah, I
believe
think-
in it. I just think I'm like whatevs, you know.
My own
I think
is-
there's
You
a
do you,
spectrum.
boo.
I think there's a
No,
spectrum.
well, a spectrum.
Well, wait, what's
Yeah, there's
transracialism?
a
Is
spectrum.
identifying with a race other than what people identify you as?
Yeah.
Other than what you were born as.
Well,
So, like-
who decides what you were born as? How are you defining what race you are?
Well,
What your
race
parents' makeup is.
race is
Who
imposed on
decides-
you by society.
Are you saying a
Yeah,
genetic,
it's
like a
usually
DNA
reflection
test?
from society.
A DNA test defining what your race is? Is that how you decide what race you are, Chaeiry?
No, I've never gotten a DNA test.
Okay, do you know what race you are?
Yes.
What race?
I'm half Dominican, half Italian.
How do you know that?
That's what my parents said that they are.
Okay, so self-identify. Well, you agree that most race is just people self-identifying, right?
Hold on, because listen, I
No,
think
no,
that
no.
race
Let me
is
walk you through it.
irrelevant.
No, let me walk
No,
you through
you
it.
can walk me through it, but I can
Yeah.
just explain to you my position first, and
I
then
don't-
you can like walk me
I already
through
know
it.
your
'Cause
position.
You don't know my position. My position is that race does not matter, and in order for me to achieve that, I'm not going to take a U-turn in the direction where it matters so much that I allow other people to just change their race.
Well,
Okay,
if it doesn't matter,
that's-
I
wanna-
kind of feel like that's.
I have some
well,
questions for Chaeiry.
Okay.
Okay, go
Sure.
ahead. Yeah.
You know what race you are because your parents told you, and we know what race
Yeah.
you are because you told us.
Yes.
So race is self-identified or identified by the people around you. Right?
I think
In 99% of cases.
it's even important to me because I know this information. So, like, if it wasn't important, I probably wouldn't.
Well, you
hold
don't
on
know
to the
it. You
information,
just were
right?
told it. You know it because you were
Yeah,
told
but
it.
I hold on to what was
Yes.
told to me.
Okay, right. So
Well, to-
transracialism is when you disagree with the people around you about what race you are.
Yes.
Okay. And possibly or disagree with your past self. You are contradicting statements that you've made in the past where you're saying, I used to be white, but now I'm black. Guys.
Yes. Rachel Dolezal. Go off.
And okay. So is it transracialism when the person themselves is saying, I know I'm not really black, but I identify as black? Or are they saying I actually am black? I feel like this is the same question for transgender people too. I feel like some trans people say I was always a woman all along, and then some of them say I am becoming a woman. And in the I am becoming, there's an acknowledgement of like I was a man or I am a man sort of, but I now am a woman. And then in the I have always been a woman is I was pretending to be a man because I was assigned that at birth, but now I'm my true self, which is that I'm a woman. So with transracialism, do we know which of those two it is? Wait, Zonia, you're muted.
She's probably talking.
I'm
to your
talking
chat.
to my stream.
Oh,
Unlike-
okay.
I'm live
Sorry.
now, by the way. You can say
I'm
hi
just-
to my chat if you want.
Hi, Zonia's chat.
Okay.
I was just making sure
First
that you.
poll is in chat, by the way. Please vote for the who you think won the inedible object question. So, yeah.
So, unlike gender, there is no history or study or even like known cases of people who feel a like desperate need for society to recognize them as a different race. So where we understand that people experience like body dysmorphia and like suicidal thoughts because of struggling with their gender identity, we don't have any like knowledge of that in regards to race. And the few situations that we do know of people who felt the need to publicly transition their race, one of them was a white woman who wanted to have a seat in power of the end of whatever it's called, NCAA. And then
Yeah,
the other one,
NCAA, that's one.
and then the other person was an influencer, Ollie London, who, after moving to Korea at the age of 17 and getting like 18 botched plastic surgeries, realized like what their issue was is that they were Korean the whole time, which they were not born Korean. But after 18 botched plastic surgeries, they decided, yes, what I've been trying to achieve is like the image of being Korean, which, mind you, Korean people don't look like 18 botched plastic surgeries. I would take that as disrespect. But this is like why people are like transitioning their race. It's like an aesthetic thing. It's
Yeah.
it's a reason to get into like a position of power, or to have privilege from being a something different than white.
Okay.
Wait,
I
well,
know.
here's the
There's
thing.
also
If we,
Nuka Zeus, who is not very successful and isn't really gaining anything other than being a lolcow for it. But it's.
if we, if,
go
well,
ahead.
there's, sorry, you can go if you want. If,
I was going to say I think it's absurd, and I don't understand it, and I personally feel that race shouldn't matter. But I would kind of agree with you that it is sort of like an aesthetic thing for most of the personalities that we know of. Like most of them were not raised in the culture and communities that they try to shape themselves after, right? So it's something that's very much a post hoc thing, and so that does make it aesthetic. It's not an internal kind of understanding of that culture from having grown up with it. So what I would say though is I don't think that just because it's aesthetic, I feel like whatevs, like let them do that, even if we don't understand it, even if it seems absurd, even if it seems like a mockery or a hijacking of like marginalized status or something. They're not really. Yes, Rachel Dolezal circumvented, stepped into power by doing it, but I feel that that is a rare situation and something that was found out eventually, and these things usually do, especially these days.
You feel like a bunch of like white kids playing Call of Duty aren't gonna like transition to being black to say the N-word?
I don't
That
know.
would be one hell of a meme.
I don't think you need to transition
But
black to say
but
the
that's the
N-word.
same. Wait a minute. We
That's
use
a
the same
lot of stuff to
argument.
do.
We
What does
use the
everybody-
same argument. Well, people use that same argument against trans people, right? Like, oh, you don't think that men will say that they're transgender just to, whatever? Like,
Well,
we've heard that argument,
I don't
right?
think that society has the same weight with gender and race. Like, I don't think that these two things, even though transitioning is part of like the phrase, like you're transitioning your gender, you're transitioning your race, doesn't make like the two things similar.
I don't think they are
Wouldn't that
either.
be wouldn't that be a crazy amount of effort though to go through to say the N-word? It
Yeah,
seems like
I
that seems
have
very
a question.
unrealistic to me.
Go ahead, Dooby.
I have a question.
Sorry. Let's let Doomerpolitics get in here. Yeah.
Okay, so what exactly does it mean to be black? In other words, if I identify as black, what exactly is changing? What does that mean?
I think
Well, here's.
I think it means that you think you're black and you want other people to say that you're black, which is the same thing that it means for a black person to say that they're black.
Well,
I don't-
what
I'm going to
I
disagree.
think-
I'm going to disagree with all of these definitions of race because race is we know imposed on us by society. So there's a reason why people fill out black, right, instead of like specifically despite whether they're African American or whether they're like from an African country that they can trace, right, they still fill out black on the forms to fill out their race, right? Same thing with Asian. Like we've got like half of the world's population checking off the same box even though they're so different. The reason that, well, at least in America, we use race as something to, I guess, like physical characteristics, it seems, is what we're basing it off of. And I don't know that we can compare race specifically to like ethnic background, right? Because they are technically different. They're different things. So, and also I would bring up that, for decades or longer, actually, because of colorism and whatever else, we've always had people of color doing things, modifying their bodies to look more white, right?
Yeah, so like I'm all for people being able to change what they want about themselves, even like I cultural appreciation. I'm all for it. But you don't have to identify as a different race in order to do those things. Like the shame that we put upon what is it, the Kardashians for rocking French braids, like they were appropriating like a black hairstyle. That's ridiculous. I would not want a world in which the Kardashians need to transition to being black in order to rock French braids.
How do you
That's
feel about
weak.
cultural appropriation in general as a concept?
I am.
I think it's dumb.
It is really dumb. I think it takes a lot for you to be appropriating someone's culture.
What
Most
does
of
it
what
take?
people label as like cultural appropriation, like seeing white girls twerk on TikTok or some shit like that, they call that cultural appropriation. That's ridiculous. Like anybody can fucking twerk. There's no
Yeah.
there's no prerequisites for that shit.
No.
But like if like an Asian dude dressed up in a sombrero and just started making like having a taco truck or something like that and calling himself Mexican, saying he has like authentic Mexican tacos, like that's probably some cultural appropriation. Like
Because
you are
he's lying, you're saying.
lying and probably kind of disrespectful.
Okay.
Cultural appropriation is based. We should share cultures.
ahead,
That's how we
Dooby.
get. That's how we get along.
You mean appreciation,
Yeah, I
right?
think-
Not appropriation.
No,
I
I mean
think,
appropriation. I mean everything that people call cultural appropriation is good. Like a white girl starting a fucking taco truck or whatever, go for it. Share
No, but-
share culture. There's no
Yeah,
reason to
she
stigmatize
appreciation-
it.
can do that, but she
engage-
shouldn't pretend that she's Mexican.
I mean
Okay,
that
so-
element of it I don't
oh
really
God.
care about. I'm
Please,
just saying.
I need to say this.
Alright.
Okay,
Fucking
go ahead,
kill me.
Dooby. Go ahead.
So really quickly on the appropriation thing, I think that as an American, it's my right, and most of your rights, I think most of you are American here, it is your right, your duty, your responsibility in contributing to the great American melting pot to appropriate and bastardize the cultures of other nations. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think integrating what works from those cultures into our culture is a great thing. I think we should all do it. Secondly, I think that we're kind of missing the point because there are a lot of people who like grow up in areas that are let's say I was a white kid who grew up in East LA where I grew up, right, where I actually grew up, right? And so I grew up with a family there, eating all the disgusting Mexican food and listening to the music and hanging out with them, speaking the way they do, learning their slang. Maybe I learned Spanish because I'm hanging around them all the time, right? I think there is a line at which you grow up with and you identify with a culture and ethnicity so much that it does make sense to say that you're more that thing than a lederhosen wearing white dude. Right? I think it's fine to say that there is a line at which you become more closely identified to that racial group, or at least the cultures and the traditions that are typically associated with that racial group than your racial group. Whether that's a white dude living in East LA or a black dude growing up in fucking, I don't know, Texas or something, right?
I feel like you're wrong.
Why?
I feel like you're wrong because I feel like that person wouldn't have a similar experience to that group or even the group that they belong to. They have an experience of someone who is from one group but relates more to another group. Like that's an experience of its own. You don't have to try to fit yourself into someone else's box. I don't know why people are so scared to just like have their own box, right?
But that's why.
I think Chaeiry's right.
That's why hold on, but that's why people who bring up the transracialism will compare it to transgenderism so much, because you could argue very easily that a trans man or trans woman didn't grow up with the with the kind of upbringing or experience that a cis man or woman would have, so they can't really identify with that thing. They're not really that thing. They're something else. And if that's what you believe, then go for it. But I don't think it
sorry.
is. It seems inconsistent.
I tuned out once you started talking. Can you repeat that?
Sure. So I think that so people who are like transphobic, right, would typically argue that a trans man or trans woman didn't grow up with the same kind of upbringing that or experience that a cis man or woman would, right? A cis woman is subjected to the patriarchy and sexism and the gender expectations. Men are subjected to toxic masculinity, their gender expectations from the time they're born, right? It's in all their media. It's in the little blankets you get when your kid's born. It's all that shit, right? Trans men and women don't have that, right? They have a totally separate experience up until the point they discover that they're trans, and then they start adopting the new identity. They start transitioning and making themselves more, akin to their new identity. So if that's the case, right, and I'm totally willing to say that trans men and women are men and women, I don't understand why you wouldn't apply that same standard with race. So if I grew up in a Black community and I was using all the slang and eating all the food and doing all the traditions and all the cultural shit that they were doing, and at some point I decided, hey, actually, I'm gonna go get my skin dyed. I'm gonna start doing my hair a certain way because I just really identify with this culture because these are my people that I grew up with. I think it's totally fine to say that person's Black.
That makes you crazy. I'm sorry, Dooby.
Can you explain why?
Because that person isn't Black. That
She just explained why. Wait, she literally just said this, and you just said the same thing that you already said, which she just said there should be a separate category for. She's saying that you can be more identified with Black people and Black culture, but not be Black. That can be its own category. We don't need to say that person is Black. And then you, at length, gave an example of that exact thing, and then said, well, I think we can say that person's Black. So I feel like you've reached an impasse where Chaeiry thinks you shouldn't say that person's Black, and you think that you should.
Right. Okay. But then I'm wondering if that's the standard, if it's just different because reasons.
Yeah, but I feel like if they to gender, where I told you that gender and race should not be comparable here.
They're absolutely
comparable. You still want to pull from there. They're not.
1000%. They're both social constructs that are imposed upon us from the time we're born. They're absolutely comparable.
Dooby, how do you feel about the N-word?
What do you mean, how do I feel about the N-word?
Like, how do you feel about people using it?
I'm fine with it when it's funny. It depends on which one. See, the hard R.
The hard R.
Should be reserved for funny occasions. Yeah,
the hard R should be reserved for okay.
When it's comedically.
Oh God, dude.
So humor is a lubricant for a hard R, and if you're gonna say it has to be funny. Okay.
Yeah.
And are you okay?
Are
you okay?
The soft A, I say that all the time.
Well, I'm sure you do. Well, hard R though. Back to the hard R. If it's used vindictively or viciously, if you're angry at somebody and they happen to be Black, and you're angry at them because they did something that you feel a Black person would particularly do you think it's okay to use that word in that instance?
I wouldn't say it's okay.
Would you say it's not okay?
I'd call it like
my guess is that you're not comfortable saying that it's not okay, even though you might actually not be okay with it. And so I want to corner you into a yes or no answer. Are you okay with using the N-word vindictively, viciously, and targetedly at a Black person who you think, or somebody using the word, not you, of course, is acting particularly Black? Do you think it's okay to use that word in that instance?
Particularly Black? What does it even mean?
I think you know what I mean. Well, whatever the person using it means. We're assuming this person using it has some presuppositions about Black people. They're going to say something. They want to say something racist because they feel racist or they are racist. They're going to use a slur.
I would say that's not okay. Yeah, so in that context, if they just want to be racist, I don't think that's okay. But
can you tell me why it's not okay?
I don't think attacking somebody for immutable characteristics is a good thing. It's not something that I like to do, and I don't think other people should do it. But one second. But I'd compare it. So in that specific context, right? If they just want to be racist, then no. But there are other situations.
Yes.
And what I was going to compare it to was like the word bitch. Right? If a woman's making you really angry, she's being really fucking annoying, she's treating you like shit.
Yes.
And you just call her a bitch, right? Because you want to hurt her. I don't think that's necessarily like a sexist thing to do in that specific sense. Is it a good thing to do? No, but it's not a good thing to do in the way that like it's never good to like insult somebody generally, right? And I think that the N-word is used in that way a lot. I think that lots of people. When they're really upset with somebody, they're looking for a way to hurt them. They revert to the most obvious.
And you think that is not? You're saying this is not okay with you?
Yeah, it's not okay. In the way that like it's generally not okay to insult somebody. But
okay, so you're saying let me get this straight. Let me get this straight.
I wouldn't put it at the same level of using it in like in a racist.
Okay, so if I'm at McDonald's and there's a black girl working there, and she drops my milkshake, and I call her the N-word, that is as not okay to you as it would be if I called my girlfriend like a dumbass. Those are in the same
no, it'd be
ballpark.
no, that's not what I said. It'd be as not okay as if you were like at the store and a woman dropped something, like a worker dropped something, and you called her a bitch.
Okay, what if I just called her? What if I just called her a dumbass though? Because you tied it to general you tied it to general insults right at the end. So I want clarification.
Wait, hold on.
You said it's generally not. You said it's not okay in the same way that's generally not okay to insult people.
This is a spectrum, right? So like there are certain insults that are typically tied to like immutable characteristics.
Is
like
the N-word
bitch.
the king of all insults?
No, I think they're better insults.
Can you describe them without? No, most not okay, and without using the words. Are there words that you think?
Well, I think they're situational. Like obviously, I think if you wanted to like drop a bomb somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the N-word is like the best one. But if you're around a bunch of like white nationalists or some shit, they're gonna laugh.
Yeah,
right?
I'm
So
not
it really
talking about
depends.
I'm talking about in an average situation of normal people.
Yeah, I would say the N-word's probably the king of bombs, and then like just like an average situation. Yeah. Just off
If
the
I
top of
can
my head.
Follow
think-
up with a question.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I
Well,
think it might be the K word.
No, Pete, that's like just not heard, and it doesn't roll off the tongue
There's
like the
a
N-word
K
does.
word?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it's hard.
There
It's,
is a word.
Yeah,
it's harder to
it
say.
really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
but
Dooby?
you
Yeah,
don't
it
hear
really does.
Jews using it to refer to each other. Like you never hear it in a way. There's no soft A version of it. It's always a bomb. But I agree.
Yeah,
There are a
but
lot of people who
okay,
don't
it's in the
know
same
it, or
way
it
that,
doesn't
like-
it doesn't resonate with them.
But it's in the same way that like so in the United States, if you call someone a cunt, right, it hits much harder than it would if you were like in Australia or some shit, right? Because we just don't say that in the U.S.
Right, because it's normal to say that there. Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying about contact. Stardust, what was your question?
Yes. So in Dooby's world, where transracialism is a thing, if somebody uses a slur like the N-word at somebody who is not identified by society as a certain race, but they themselves identify as black, let's say, would that be a hate crime or something?
Well, saying the word
No,
isn't a
but-
hate
Well,
crime.
not hate crime. Sorry, would that be hate speech?
I don't really believe in hate speech. I mean, I guess it's a concept, but I mean, it's just kind of. Yeah, I would
there
say so.
could be,
So,
like,
so,
a
if, so
white
if I
dude.
identified, so if I
Uh-huh.
identified as like black, right, and I take
Mhm.
steps, maybe I dyed my skin, did my hair in a certain way, because I wanted to present as black, and someone called me the N-word to like hurt me like in a racialized way, then yeah, I'd say that's hate speech.
What if you hadn't
What if-
transitioned yet, I guess, to the new race?
If they knew about it and that was their intention, then yes. If they just wanted to use a word to insult me, because I mean, I'm sure we've all played video games before. Some of those people throw words at each other just to be insulting, even if they don't know what you look like or whatever what you are, right? So if they were just trying to insult me and they had no idea that internally I felt like a black man, then yeah, I wouldn't call it racist or hate speech.
Okay. If they started beating you up and calling you slurs, then
Multiple slurs or just that one? What if they called me
it's
like
the one. Yeah. Or what if they,
That'd be
what if they
kinda-
started throwing all the slurs at you, right?
the white
all
ones,
every
and the black
slur.
ones, and the Asian
Yeah.
ones, like all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that like hate speech. I would just say that this person probably has like a limited vocabulary from which to like insult you.
What if, what if you got beat up specifically for being transracial? Like, would that be a hate crime?
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
Zone,
I think
you
with
really
the-
you really agree with everything I've ever said?
I guess we'll find out.
Well, that's what you said in your intro.
It is what I said in my intro.
Is it a joke?
I'm not sure, honestly. Actually, no, I haven't heard everything you've ever said, so I have no idea if I would agree with everything you've ever said.
It doesn't answer whether it's a joke.
Hmm. Maybe we should have a discussion.
Maybe you should answer my
Well-
question.
Well, I haven't heard everything that you've ever said, so I wouldn't. So honestly, saying that would be either hyperbolic or a lie. However,
Was it hyperbolic or was it a lie? Or a joke? You can still say it was a joke.
Well, that was technically a joke. I
Okay.
tend to meme when I go onto this panel, but yeah, if I were to actually unpack some of the things that I've, or some of the things that I've already unpacked with you, I
Yeah.
don't necessarily disagree with you. As a matter of fact, I found quite a bit of agreement with you when you and I were talking on that panel
Yes, I remember.
back a week and a half ago or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was interested in talking to you some more. But yeah, but we're here now, doing the Chaoscast panel. Figured it would be fun to meme a little bit because it's very likely that we're gonna get heat just for being on a panel with you, and I don't really care. So I'm gonna say some
Heat
inflammatory
from
things.
who? Who gives a fuck?
That's why I'm gonna say some inflammatory.
Go, Dooby.
They're pissing at you about it. I told you this before, Zona, when you came to me about some other people canceling, quote unquote. Literally go on the internet, look up a picture of a horse's vagina and send it to them. You're like, I don't know.
Beige.
Do you guys
Who gives
remember
a
when
fuck?
you would get heat for
I mean,
being
I don't
on with
actually
Dooby?
care. I mean,
That's
well, I don't-
true. Remember when Dooby was controversial? Now he's not as controversial.
No, he's
Well, because
controversial.
Yeah.
you're used
It's
to
pretty
it.
controversial.
Ironically, it's like
Dooby's
that
pretty
thing about a frog in boiling water. He just slowly like raise the heat or whatever.
Oh, is that
I've
what
done that to the
is?
entire Twitch scene over the last like year.
True. No, to kind of push back on that, to be like, I don't really care about so much about that, not for this kind of stuff. So that's why I said something that I felt would be very inflammatory, basically leaning into the meme. So if anybody does want to try to come after me for being on a panel with Mr. Girl, I'm gonna lean into that shit pretty hard at the opening, so they have something clippable, right? I don't really care all that much. I mean, heck, like I said, I get a ton of shit. for
Well,
being
you're a
friends with
fucking
you, dude.
frog. Why would you care? You can escape this whenever you want. Nobody knows your
Oh.
real name.
No, the other one's a frog. That's Sonia talking.
Oh shit.
No, he said I'm
So-
a fraud.
No, I said frog. I thought. Okay, wow. I'm sorry. I did not know he was
Wow.
talking.
Wow.
Wow.
That's fucking racist. Holy shit.
Jesus.
Wow. Oh. Okay. I think we've learned something about Mr. Girl here today, guys.
What did we learn?
Yikes.
To be fair, Dooby's
You can't tell us
thing
apart.
never stops moving. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are you doing with your throat, Dooby? Jeez.
Don't shame me. What the fuck?
He's doing. He's
Are
doing
you
Kegels.
practicing
Leave him alone.
sucking dick?
I'm breathing.
Like, what are you doing?
Wait, so but you,
need
Zonia,
to
you
breathe.
do care about getting canceled, don't you?
Not really anymore. I'm kind of developed a thicker skin than I used to, and mostly what I cared about before was a certain type of stalking that I was dealing with, combined with harassment.
But if you're giving a
So-
clip, isn't it kind of
What?
a defensive maneuver to throw up a clip so that people can clip you and then you can say it was a joke?
Yep, I basically throw some pretty. I throw some shit out there, so kind of sprinkle the playing field with a bunch of misdirection.
I see. Okay.
There
Dooby,
are there are
we're gonna do
people
this?
who regularly go after me
I'm just saying. Okay.
just because they don't like me and they're looking for anything to go after me for, and they want me to do things like condemn Dooby and not be his friend and such, and I'm like, fuck you, not gonna do it. So and because I know that I'm gonna get a lot of people coming after me for being on a panel with you, Mr. Girl,
Yeah.
especially after being rather cordial with you the other day.
What are they going to come after
Um,
you about being on a panel with me?
Okay. You win.
Well,
You win.
I
Calm
don't
down,
know,
calm
so
down.
that's why I just throw some shit out there and let them grab
Calm
whatever
down.
they want.
You win,
and make them
okay?
look
I see.
stupid.
You win.
Right. Look, I am the one platforming everybody that apparently I'm not supposed to platform. So I don't think it's I think it's fine. You know what? People will get used to it. It's fine.
Okay,
It's
so
totally fine. Yeah.
let me bring it back to transracialism really quick.
Yes.
So I'm
go
basically
ahead.
going to restate my question earlier in a different light, using a personal example. Okay, so I went to an all-black middle in high school, right? And I listened to hip hop, and in every way that you could really conceive of, I was immersed in Black culture. Okay, so but what would I stand to gain by identifying as Black? Like, what reason would I have to do that?
Maybe you're applying to Harvard.
Okay.
True.
That is a decent question.
There are
but
situations where it's better to be Black, especially on paper.
Well, so, but that sort of brings up a problem, right? Because if you're
Yeah.
able to just identify, like, the reason that there would be preferential entrance, or whatever it's called, preferential acceptance at Harvard for
Yeah.
Black people has to do with a lived experience that I wouldn't have as a transracial person.
Right, so you get
So
to
if you
have
were
the
to-
good part of being Black and none of the bad.
Sure, but all that you would stand to gain by allowing that would basically be to erase the lived experiences of people who haven't had the choice to be Black. They
Yeah, but
just
you could
grew
get
up with the lived
cornered.
experience.
You could get cornered by various activists from different groups. Like you see that transracialism is often used as an argument against transgender advocacy. Right? The people say, well, if I can switch genders, how come I can't switch races? The thing is, though, I think that swings both ways, and you could actually end up having to, maybe in a couple of years, eventually say, okay, then fine, fuck it. We do accept transracialism. Maybe there aren't
Well,
so many...
I think if
There aren't... Yeah?
I think if down the line we come up with the same like studies and stories, and we find out that people go through the same like internal issues that they do with gender and identity for race, then maybe I'll get closer to it. But
Oh.
at this moment in time, there's no evidence that anybody feels like they have to commit Sudoku because the world won't identify them as Korean.
Do you think that studies and science are the things that advance trans rights activism?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, understanding that this is that identity is so severe that somebody would want to take their life, then yeah, I think that heavily weighs other people who can't like put themselves.
That's
in
not
that person's
science
shoes.
though. That's people saying just please. That's
Yeah,
like
but that's what I'm
that's
talking
pressure.
about.
That's not evidence. That's not evidence that their claims are true. That's just evidence that it's just
I feel
it's
like
pressure
the
on you.
suicide rate. I feel like the suicide rate is evidence that their struggle is true.
It's evidence that there is a struggle, but that is not evidence that the struggle is as it is defined by trans rights activists or trans people.
I think I'm getting confused.
Go ahead, Dooby. You want to step in, Dooby? Was that you were raising your hand earlier?
Dooby's not gonna say shit.
All right, so Mr. Girl, would you say that me identifying as Black to get into Harvard easier would be a legitimate thing to do? There's something wrong with that?
Well, when you say legitimate,
I mean, is there anything wrong with that?
Yes, but I don't think Harvard should admit people more because they're Black.
Sure. So I agree.
So I have a lot of
But-
other
so-
problems with other things in your question, but yes, given
Well,
the
okay,
current, yeah.
So I'm just going to go back to my previous question then, because I agree. I would prefer this just not be a thing, that we heavily weight entrances based on race. And I think it's a bit weird if I was to claim a different race basically to get into college earlier. That seems a bit weird. So then
Yeah,
we're
but
not
if you're
talking about getting-
trans and you get into Harvard because you're a woman, or because you're a trans woman, do you accept the idea that maybe some people transition so that society will treat them differently, and in some cases preferentially, in the situation where a woman would be treated preferentially? Is that ever part of the appeal, or could it possibly be?
I, given the way that trans people are treated in the U.S., I would be surprised if I'm not sure there's a single person that would qualify.
I mean,
You don't
you're
think there is
risking
a-
getting killed every day? So
You don't think? Whoa!
Sorry, I was being molested.
what-
So I'd like to.
and you're-
No, you
and there's
missed
a
your
lot to go
fucking
through
chance.
with transition.
You're saying
Oh,
there's
fuck
no...
you.
No, actually, fuck you.
When?
After this panel. Do you
Okay,
think... You're saying that there's no situation, Zonia, where
Mhm.
someone has transitioned because they want to be treated too female, because on any level they want to be treated as more feminine or more pretty or more whatever. Whatever situation we privilege women in.
Stop it. Men are pretty too. Okay.
I'm not saying so. What I'm trying to say is not that. What I'm trying to say is that people are, with what we face on a daily basis,
Yeah.
I don't think it's reasonable. I don't think it's realistic that somebody would go through all the effort necessary to transition to put themselves in a place where they're then at risk of being murdered every day by strangers.
I think
So, not for
okay.
like
I think
just
I think
trying
the
to get like a scholarship or something. Right?
I think the risk
it's
of
a lot of effort. Sorry,
I think
go ahead.
I think the risk of stranger murder is overblown. And even if it is,
I carry a pistol on me for a reason.
Yeah, well, me too. However, I think the risk of either of us getting murdered is still pretty low. Even if it is higher. I don't even know that I believe that it is higher.
Okay, so here's
It
the
depends
question.
on
Right.
the area
Hold
that
on.
you're in. It depends on the area that
the
you're
question
in.
is-
Wait. I wanna say that I mean, also the amount of effort it takes to transition on a college application is pretty different from the amount of effort it takes to transition like in your family or friend group or whatever. Like you can just go to like a government building and switch your gender. I don't think it takes that long or costs that
don't know
much.
that
And then
that-
apply to the college as a woman.
Depends
Don't you
on
have
the
to
government.
live as the opposite gender for like a year before?
Okay,
go
fine.
ahead.
Then
The
then
government
go. I mean,
depends
like
on-
whatever.
Like some need a doctor to certify that you. It all depends on where you live.
Okay, I'm just
So
saying that. Well,
police,
I'm
behavioral
I'm
health.
from Massachusetts, and I'm pretty sure in Massachusetts, if you say, "Hey, I'm a woman," every fucking, state official in Massachusetts will say, "Oh, okay, I recognize you as a woman immediately." I imagine the bar is not very high.
Yeah, so if you're saying that like in a place where there's not much gatekeeping and someone could rather easily at least
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
enough of the credentials to qualify for like a minority loan, or in the case of gender, women's, or not loan, but scholarship, or in the case of gender.
Okay.
women's
So you
scholarship.
see, if you believe that trans women are actually women, but transracial black people are not actually black people, then of course you would draw a huge distinction between the two. But but from where I stand, if you see it as more like they just are saying they are, and we're agreeing they are, or we think they are, then it becomes a lot more murky, accepting one and not the other. So that is the tunnel through which I think that we may actually end up accepting transracialism, and I think it'll be the same thing. Some people
I don't
really,
think-
really want it, and the rest of us will say, "Oh, fine."
But I don't think anything about your race is like internalized. I feel
I
like
just-
that's
Yeah, there's
all
an
outward
inherent. So
exterior.
the way that it was explained last night.
I'm
Go.
gonna be AFK for a sec because I got a big raid, so I'm gonna address the audience. a bit.
Oh, okay, all right. Dooby, why don't you go
Okay.
ahead because
Yeah,
you're
so-
losing your shit. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a question. Because I feel like a lot of the arguments that are being put forward seem like somewhat connected to the current race relations in the United States. So what I'm wondering is if you were in a country, or maybe 1,000 years from now, right? The United States is a place where you could grow up as a white and black person and face either no discrimination for your race, or similar discrimination for your racial group, right? There's no white supremacist system, whatever the fuck you lefties say, right? If that were the case, right, and someone's growing up in this place, and the race was literally just kind of your culture and the color that you were, right, and you didn't have all this baggage of Jim Crow and slavery and redlining and all this yada yada, right? If that were the case, would you have the same kind of I don't want to say like disgust, the same kind of like distrust toward people who say that they want to be black?
I give you this example with even a different race. If you want to make this so unloaded, just remove like white and black from the equation.
He doesn't
Ali
want
London.
to. He doesn't want to do that, and you know that. Dooby's lobbing grenades your way. You know that, right?
This is a pretty
and I'm
simple
a dodge.
question.
But listen, I don't even have to engage with the whatever fake story that you
Dooby's launching
created.
heat-seeking half-black girl missiles at you.
Listen,
You're
there's
gonna
a
dodge
dude
them all?
who moved to Korea, right? He's from the UK, Ollie London, 18 botched plastic surgeries. He thought he was finna look like some K-pop star. He looks like trash, and decided, you know how I'm gonna fix this? I identify as Korean, and my pronouns are they, them, Kor, E-N. Kor, E-N are his pronouns.
Yeah, but that's
okay?
just somebody who's not being serious, like, probably, right? So, like, but if there was someone who grew
show
up in
me an
Korea,
example of anyone who is serious that feels this way. And until there is that person, I don't give a fuck. All we want are one person that wants to
but your
grab
original
power.
but is the line
Rachel
that they
Dolezal
need
was-
to wait? Hold on, is the line that they need to feel like they're going to kill themselves if you don't call them this thing? That's the line. Like, what's
The line
Right,
is that
exactly.
they're
You were
serious.
saying studies and science, but then you said, oh, actually, it's people threatening to kill themselves. So if people threatening to kill themselves,
I didn't say it's people threatening to kill themselves. I said that the suicide rate demonstrates that gender identity is
fine.
important internally.
Okay,
in
but
a way
that
that we
doesn't
can't
that,
visibly see in people.
I don't think it does. I think it demonstrates that people think it is or feel that it is. I don't think it demonstrates that they know the truth about gender. And I understand there are studies about that separately, but I don't think that's what's that's what's pushing it along. So I think what Dooby is saying and what I'm saying is that if you start getting the same kind of extremely heated, passionate advocacy of like transracial people are targeted, like when I go around in Harlem saying the N-word and wearing clothes like I'm like from there, even though I'm not, and trying to talk like them, I get targeted. I get harassed more, and like you could see, and it's a goofy example. I actually used to live in Harlem. I lived there for a year.
I used to live in Manhattan.
Shit, where'd you live?
I'll tell you privately.
Okay. I lived on Adam Clayton Pell, in 133rd.
I live near the Upper East Side.
Okay. My point is that you could see the same sort of super passionate appeals to, I'm gonna get killed, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm unhappy, blah blah blah, that could push this idea through, and that whether science supports transgender trans rights activism or not, I don't think is why. I don't think that's what's pushing it through. You know?
Come on, can I engage? Can I? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Well, what I would say is that it's not the incongruence with society that makes somebody trans, right? It's an inherent thing inside them, right?
That's the claim. I don't agree with that.
This is what I want to engage with you on, because like, if I am a gender abolitionist, and I feel like I agree mostly with gender abolitionists, it's like it's understanding like what gender actually means. But the struggle that people feel right now in gender identity has a lot to do with the fact that it matters in society. So while we can understand that it should be irrelevant, like you have to engage with people with what society is today, and that's why.
So you basically agree with my general view that gender body dysmorphia, gender dysphoria is the result of societal pressures basically making people crack in some way, rather than an inherent I'm in the wrong body biological phenomenon.
I do not know. I'm not. I haven't watched your gender narratives, and
yeah. So you know what I think.
You just have to let me watch your. I haven't watched them.
Oh, so you haven't watched them.
So I don't actually know that position.
So you might disagree
with you.
Well, I know
you
fucking.
With you.
I know you fucking disagree with me. I want to know where Chaeiry stands, though.
I'll let you know when I watch them.
Okay, but you're open to the idea that there is no such thing as psychological gender, and that maybe trans people have just been made to feel bad about their bodies in some way, and just want to escape, or feel like they're supposed to be the other sex, or you think maybe it is that they are born in the wrong body and need medical treatment to fix that. And you're saying either way, even if it is just societal, we should accept that the way they feel is real.
Okay, so if I'm going off what you just said right there without like watching the content and like I assume was like hours of explanation of it.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to summarize your.
I would just say I'm not. I would say I'm not sure because then I could, like I could take that and say that because a child is born and you see their like what genital that they had when they were born, that you reinforce something to them as well. Like it could work both ways.
Yeah, there could be an interaction, but that ends up being re-socialized into them based on what they're presenting. But you're saying, I'm not trying to summarize my view on it. I'm trying to summarize yours, which is that you're not sure, or you think it might be some of both.
My summary is I don't know what gender dysphoria is. I've never experienced it myself, but I do respect the information that I can read about it and the stories that I hear and that I can read about. I know me personally, I don't care what anybody identifies as their, like if they're man, woman, or non-binary. So because it doesn't matter to me,
Okay. So you're
like,
sort
that's
of
that's where I'm at.
You're sort of agnostic about it, but you want to make
so.
sure that people don't feel that means that you want to go out and discredit them or argue with them about this.
Yeah, because I just don't think that how would I argue against what someone else feels like in their head, in their mind, about like who they are, like gender wise.
Okay. Okay.
It's for me, it's like one of those things where you're in a crowd and a big portion of that crowd is all raising their hand that they experienced something. It's very hard to dismiss it when there's like that many hands up.
I see, and I feel like that's my calling card, is like, just because everybody around you is raising their hand saying something, you can be like, maybe not though. Maybe you're wrong, because we've seen so many times in history that one person can be in a room with 500 other people, they're all saying the same thing, and they could just be wrong. I don't think majority.
I understand where you're coming from.
I know you do.
So, Chaeiry, the difference to you between transgenderism and transracialism is the number, basically the percentage of the population that reports it. Like, if more people reported transracialism, you would think it was more legitimate?
Yes. You must.
Wait,
you
who,
have to.
me or him?
You, Chaeiry.
It's me and Dooby versus you.
If more
right now.
people reported transracialism.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the difference, because what you just said about transgenderism.
You're saying if enough people raise their hands and say, this is my true lived experience, if you don't start treating me like I'm black, I might kill myself.
But
if enough people say that, then that would be evidence to you that if even whether it's social or genetic, we should start treating it like it's a real thing. And you're saying that just not enough people have said that.
Like, I'm okay with going on record saying that at this point in time in my life, if somebody does identify as transracial, I think they're either crazy or they're malicious.
But if 500 people do it, then you're going to start thinking,
then there might be 500 crazy or malicious people. That's just like where I'm at right now. I cannot.
Okay, so you cannot be
where,
convinced by a large crowd of passionate people that transracialism is a thing.
And
I also want to point
so
out,
I guess that's how I feel about
sorry.
transgenderism. I can't be convinced no matter how many people.
Point out that same thing was said about us, Chaeiry. You know, that
and
we're just
again,
crazy.
I will be a broken record that race and gender is not the same.
I know, it's just it's
like,
difficult to argue when the argument has the same format as what was used to deny us.
And
okay,
then
so,
maybe we should stop using transracialism and call it something else.
Okay, so hold on. Does anyone?
Wait, what the fuck is going on with Zonia? Can she hear? Oh yeah, yeah, she can hear us. You hear this shit, Zonia? What are you doing?
Yeah. Drinking water?
No, you're doing a lot more than drinking water. My chat says that your chat is pissed at you, and that you're pissed at me. Is any of this true? This is just the news.
I don't know. I'm asking my chat right now. Are you guys
You're asking your chat if you're pissed at me?
No, I'm not pissed at you. I like you.
You can like me and be pissed at me. Those are not mutually exclusive. I would even say that.
Damn it, you're about to piss me off if you keep pushing this.
Okay,
I am going to keep pushing it. I would say the more you like me, the more pissed at me you're going to get.
Wait a minute. Doomerpolitics has been waiting. Okay, we're going to let him speak. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, but we're talking about a bunch of trans shit.
Supposed to be in a fight right now.
We're talking about a
Right.
bunch of trans shit.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
about the trans shit, does anyone here think that we should treat anyone like they are black?
No.
Yeah,
The
it depends on the
answer is
context,
no.
but I'd say yeah.
I
think-
treat
What does-
Under what context?
I treat Chaeiry like
What
she's
does
black.
that mean?
Yes.
Well, it just means, well, maybe it's because unlike you guys, right? I don't treat people differently based on the race. Okay.
Well, I do.
So when I say, I know, when I say that I would treat someone like they're black, I treat them just like anybody else. And if they wanted me to say that they're black, I'd say sure, right? Just like I would to a trans person who asked me to say a certain thing, or to someone that had like a xeno gender and they asked me to say a certain thing about them. I do that just to be respectful, right?
Okay, but you're saying that your treatment is identical. So then you aren't treating people like they're black. You're just saying, okay, you want me to say that you're black, so I will, but I'm not going to treat you any differently. So the fact that they're identifying as black means nothing. It has no substance.
Well, because I just don't put much weight on like race or gender, like generally.
So this is what I was getting at earlier. Is that
to me, these are just the ways that people socially identify themselves, right? So like, it's not that big a deal.
well, that's
Well,
exactly
no,
my
because when
point.
you're citing
If
crime
there isn't-
statistics and saying that 90% of the rapes in New York are done by black and Hispanic people, you're not saying people who self-identify or who asked you to call them black and Hispanic. You do see race.
Well, I see race in that, I see the physical characteristics that socially we've called like racial groups.
You,
Right?
so, yeah,
And
you
in New
fucking
York, it is
notice
true
them.
that people with those physical characteristics behave in that way 90% of the time, right? 90% of the rapes and murders in New York City in any given year are committed by black and brown people. That's just the truth. And when I say black and brown people, I'm talking about what society typically calls black and brown people, which are people who
Oh, but
look
you don't
black
call
and
them
brown
black and
aesthetically.
brown people. You're above it.
To me,
Is that what you're saying?
the race literally doesn't fucking matter, right? These are just the physical characteristics that society has decided to call like a race.
Well, that's
And
what makes it
because
matter.
these are the physical
I think that's what he's
characteristics
asking.
that people are mapping out when they're doing these crime
Okay,
stats.
but this is
then
what I'm
that's
getting
referring
at. If transracialism is nothing more than basically being polite, saying I'll call you what you want because this will make you feel good, but there's no substance behind it, then this is a very strange thing to be this large of a topic of discussion. Because as far as I can tell, there isn't anything that most people would say is like treating you as though you're black. That's a legitimate thing to do. We shouldn't be treating anyone as though they are black in the sense that we have some set of stereotypes or characteristics of quote unquote black people, and that we should be treating people who we identify to be black by those characteristics. No one seems to hold that view. So there seems to be nothing more to transracialism aside from I'm just going to be polite. In which case I wonder why this is even worth discussing.
No, I think we should treat black people differently, or I treat black people differently from how I treat white people, for sure.
How so?
There's certain things I would say to a black person, or things I wouldn't say, or ways like when I in my conversation with Rhizome yesterday, in the middle of it, I was like, you're black. I was like, I feel like we're like not talking about that you're black, like we're forgetting that you're black, and I brought it up.
So,
and I was like,
and when you bring it up, I'm guessing that what you're getting at, what the important part about them being black, has to do with some lived experience that a person who isn't black wouldn't have. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so if I was to be transracial and identify as black, would I have that lived experience?
It depends. It depends. I mean, don't you think there are trans women who have, I would say, at a certain point, do have the lived experience of being a woman if they're passing for long enough. Maybe if you passed.
Well,
I'm
I'm talking about the moment. Like, for example, if you are black in America, there is a unique experience, right? That
No.
there's hold on. There is something that is somewhat unique to not all, but many black people in America.
On average, there's an average different experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So like one thing is that some people care a lot about their heritage, and black people in particular, if they cared a lot about this, it's a problem because they aren't able to take their heritage back as far as other people were for obvious reasons.
Depends
right?
on the black person, but yeah.
It does depend on the black person, but we're just speaking in generalities, right? So that is a thing that would be different about someone that's black in America. The thing is, if I was to transracially identify as black, that wouldn't apply to me. So I'm trying to, I'm trying to get at it, like what if I was to identify as black, the only things that I can think of that would even matter at all about a person being black in America, none of them would apply to me. I wouldn't have the lived experiences of being a black person in America.
Okay, I feel like you guys should should talk to some biracial people, because
We are.
even the black even the black experience in America is like on a spectrum.
Absolutely.
You have black people who consider other black people just like not black enough. And
Absolutely. I would
for
say
me as a
that's
biracial
probably a
person,
big part of the black experience in America, is being considered
I
not black enough by other black people.
and I feel like it's perfectly fine to not identify or put yourself wholly into someone else's box. Like, it's super easy for people to be able to label someone as black or white or Asian or
Yeah.
Spanish. You make it almost impossible for you to just have like different experiences outside of that, and you almost like force someone to fit themselves into into someone else's experience, which almost erases part of their own. And that's why I think transracialism is stupid.
Well, here's the thing, is that that same argument can still be used and is still used on trans people. And I don't know if Zonia wants...
So you're talking about transgender?
Yes?
Yes, transgender. I didn't mean to cut you off earlier, Zonia. I just felt like Doomer had been waiting for a while, so I wanted.
It's okay.
time
We're
to
not
fight
friends
about
anymore.
gender,
I'm kicking you
Zonia.
out of my server.
Oh shit.
What did you say, Mr. Girl?
I was just
time to
gonna
fight.
see if you wanted to say anything, but I was gonna talk about like what Vivian was saying last night. Is so personally, I don't know that I fully buy into like the gender abolitionism thing. I think I'm more of like somebody who does believe that there's something inherent in somebody that makes them want to be at somewhere on that spectrum of gender, right? And that's why people choose to either identify as non-binary or a woman or a man, or somewhere in between. And I do think that because there's that, like, I don't know, I feel like there's an inherent thing, there's an inherent gender identity. I don't know that there's like an inherent racial identity.
Well, when
right?
you say inherent, do you mean like biological, or do you mean something that is ingrained in people young enough that they don't remember it?
I don't know if it's biological, but I know that I don't know if it's biological. I don't know the biology behind it, but it's something that
Like
I don't know if it's
imagine...
ingrained. I don't think it's ingrained. I think it's just something that's
Star
in somebody. Yeah.
Star, can you tell me a situation where somebody who wants to identify as a different race needs to be able to say that instead of just...
I can't. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is that with the way that I view gender is, I think it is there is some sort of inherent thing in somebody that makes them want to fit into some part along the spectrum. I don't see that. I don't think
that's true. I don't agree with that at all.
Well, you're a gender abolitionist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
So we have
I'm a gender abolitionist as well.
All right, Zonia.
Yeah. Is that 4 out of 6?
What, Zonia?
What? Sorry, what did you say?
Explain yourself. How you're a gender abolitionist.
I think gender is way too essentialized and too ill-fitting for a lot of people, and especially as our culture evolves over time, we become more and more divorced from the things that we associated as gender, and the lines become more and more blurred. And it seems like the more that we try to confine things and bucket them within gender, the more ill-fitting it becomes as society evolves. So from my perspective, I think it would be more liberating and freeing to move in a direction that just makes gender no longer essential and effectively abolishes it over time. I wouldn't push it in that direction, but I think that would be the better direction to go.
Well, you're not pushing in that direction. You know my next question.
Sure. What is it?
Well, aren't you bucketing yourself?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
To some degree, I am.
So,
because I do express in a feminine way most of the time.
I want you to reconcile these two things.
I have dysphoria, and I struggle with the way that I appear, and so I do tend to bend toward a what would be considered a traditionally feminine appearance, and it does help reduce my dysphoria.
So due
But
to physical or psychological pain, you're giving in to
yes.
a desire to bucket yourself despite it going against your own philosophy of gender.
Mm-hmm. And I do recognize that it's not what I would like to do. And I would like to just kind of be, I think I would like to be completely liberated from the entire concept.
This is
Like,
why you look up to me.
Part of the problem that I also see, and this is, obviously there's a combination of issues here, but part of the problem is that it is difficult to survive in a healthy manner in this society if you don't conform to certain standards.
Yes.
So a lot of us call it passing, which I don't even like the concept of passing, because technically I think the whole desire to want to pass in a way just creates more of a rigid problem. And
yeah. You think
it has blowback not just on trans people.
I mean, it sounds like you think all the same shit that I do about trans people.
Yes, and but I do struggle with, like, my dysphoria is significantly stronger if I'm in society and people are staring at me and kind of wondering, especially if their eyes pop, and I try to ignore it as best I can. I've gotten pretty good at it over the decades, but it's still like on some days, like yesterday, I wouldn't even turn on the camera when I was on a panel because my dysphoria was just way overblown.
Did
I didn't even want to go shopping.
Did I trigger your dysphoria earlier when I thought that you were Dooby talking?
No, I didn't even think about it. So.
To be fair, people say I have a feminine voice all the time. So,
can I ask you about your dysphoria?
Sure, I don't have any issues talking about it.
What's it like?
Oh gosh, how do you explain that? Okay. Would it make more sense to get more verbose in terms of like cerebral kind of effect of it, or to be more, these are examples of what have happened? Like I could say, there are days when I cover up all reflective surfaces in my house.
Yeah, that speaks to the intensity of it.
Yeah, I'm like,
can I ask you kind of a weird,
like, avoid if I see my reflection in the mirror, I'll just like dodge the mirror or something, or from a reflective surface.
Can I ask you kind of a weird question?
Yeah. Sure.
Is there a physical sensation in your body of dysphoria? And if so, where is it, or can you describe it?
Nothing more than like anxiety, nerves, like I'll get like my heart will race, or I will be like hypersensitive to certain things, like sounds and such.
It's like
when
fear.
my dysphoria is really, really peaked.
It sounds like fear.
I'm sure it's going to manifest in many different ways, including fear, like certain traits of fear, etc.
Is there
manifestations of fear?
Is there a thing that you're afraid of? Specifically, like agoraphobia?
No.
Like you're afraid of being trapped out in a crowd, or trapped away from not being able to escape somewhere, or like acrophobia, you're afraid of the ground is the monster at the end of the tunnel, right? With your dysphoria, is there a thing at the end that you're afraid is like will get you?
No, not really.
So it just feels like a generalized like anxiety, and then if you cover up the reflective surfaces and don't look at yourself and others don't look at you, eventually it subsides.
Yeah, usually, like, I was actually telling Prime Kai the other day. This kind of relates to this quite a bit. Prime Kai and I were talking, and I was telling him about how the reason why I often don't turn on my camera when I do the walk-on panels is because when I do the walk-on panels, it's usually like a last-minute thing that I jump into. And for me to go on camera, I actually meditate. So I do quite a bit of meditation and mental stealing and preparation just to get on camera. So if I don't have, like, if oftentimes if there's like a last minute call, like somebody comes up to me and says, hey, I need another person for this panel in an hour, I'll oftentimes say no if I haven't mentally prepared myself already for being on camera. And fortunately, when Star reached out to me today, I was already mentally preparing for a while to be on camera earlier in the day
To be
because I was
seen.
going to be streaming. So I had already gone through a lot of the mental steeling and preparation and conditioning to go on camera. So by the time she came to me 2 hours before this happened, I was like, sure, why not?
Okay, I have
okay with
a
it.
weirder question. So dysphoria is often presented as, I look at myself and I am not the way I'm supposed to be, and that hurts me.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's basically what I deal with.
And I think I view it as, I look at myself, and when I see myself, that hurts me, and I want to be not myself. I want to be seen differently.
For
You see
me,
the
it's
difference.
more, I feel this, like when I've internally analyzed my own dysphoria, most of what I end up feeling is in terms of why I have like the fear of reflective surfaces and such, comes from a, like, what I see doesn't match, right?
Yes,
It's like it
yes.
doesn't look like me, and it looks very confusing.
Yes, we both
and it startles me oftentimes when I walk by, like if I see my reflection out of the side
Okay.
side of my eye, it kind of startles me because I think it's somebody else.
Yeah, we both agree that you don't feel you're supposed to look the way that you naturally look.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike, what I want to draw your attention to, and I'm going somewhere with this, is it possible that the relief that you feel by changing how you look is not that now you look right, but it's that now it makes sense that you don't look the way you are. You get what I'm saying? Like you still don't look like yourself, but you have taken control of that and intentionally made yourself not look like yourself. So the dysphoria can still be relieved, and through like this back channel way of you shouldn't feel like you look like yourself because you've changed how you look now.
No, I just feel like
No, I know you're not gonna. I know you're not gonna agree with this. But what I am curious about is if a trans person put on blackface, a trans white person, would it be possible for them to relieve their dysphoria? Or what effect would it have on their dysphoria if they changed their racial appearance versus their gender appearance? I would be very interested to see what that would be like, or to hear what it would. I would be interested to see what it would look like, obviously, but I'd be interested to hear what it would feel like to change your racial appearance and see like how you feel about mirrors after doing that.
Yeah, I've often wondered this as well, but I don't personally know anybody who's transracial, not to the point of altering their physical appearance anyway.
But why don't you just try it?
I know. Me?
Yeah.
No, I have no interest in that. I am not.
You're not curious?
No.
You don't want to be my little lab bunny? Come
to
on.
me, race, like, I don't like essentializing it to that degree.
Wait, Zonia.
It doesn't
you
make
said
any
you
sense
said you
to
wanted
me.
you said you wanted to talk. You said you want to talk to me.
But you're telling me to do something that I don't understand.
Here's my prop. We don't have to understand our experiments. We just do things. Here's my proposition. I want you to turn off all the cameras in your house, and then I want you to put on blackface and a wig, a black wig, black outfit, everything. And then I want you to get on a Discord call with me, voice only, and then you turn on the lights, and I want to interview you about how you feel seeing your own reflection.
Oh no, I'm already frightened.
What the fuck did I come back
That would
to?
frighten them.
It frightens me too.
If you need permission, you can do brown face. I won't be offended.
Yeah, sure. You don't have to be black. You can be Indian. Whatever makes you most.
Oh,
you
Stardust already knows that I appropriate the hell out of her parents' culture. So
go ahead. I appropriate white culture every day. So. Yeah.
I want to see.
No,
I want to see how it. I want to see how you feel.
That makes no sense to me. Like,
Well, it's
even
just-
as an
it's-
experiment, it just sounds yikers.
Well, it's of
Like,
course it's
and not
yikers.
yikers in the good way, yikers in the bad way.
It's yikers in both ways. But my point is, it will help us to see how much of being transgender is wanting to move toward the idealized image of how you feel you're supposed to be versus wanting to move away from how your body is naturally. And so if you put on blackface and you say like, wow, I don't mind looking at myself in the mirror at all, that would be really meaningful. That would mean a lot to me.
The thought of it frightens me.
It would mean a lot to me. It would be frightening because it would discredit and sort of dissolve some of your narratives about yourself and your identity, which would be a terrifying experience.
To me, it's frightening because it's like it's something that like I can't even empathize with, right?
Yeah, I know. That's why it's perfect. If you felt transracial, it wouldn't be a good experiment. The point is to see if changing your race has any effect on your dysphoria, or if you still feel dysphoria, that would be meaningful too.
So,
the experiment is about: is dysphoria an urge to escape, or is it an urge to go to? Are trans women escaping maleness, or are they going toward femaleness? What is the difference?
Dysphoria is sort of the condition, right? It's the affliction in a way.
Yes, but what is the nature?
I do
of
the way that I dress and style myself is alleviating that dysphoria.
I understand that, but we don't know why. We don't know why it is alleviating, or I don't know why.
Can I ask a question?
I can't. Well, before you go, Chaeiry, there's one thing I'm going to say. I actually kind of do. Like, I'm paler than I normally would be, to some degree. Although the lighting doesn't really help right now because I didn't. I need to redo my white balance. But I'm actually very pink. I
want Wesley Snipes.
I want
dark. I don't want no pale. No, I don't want nothing. I don't want concealer.
The pinkness of my skin because I'm very, very red. I'm very.
I want an
Irish
afro
descended, right?
And I want dark chocolate skin. And I want to interview you, seeing yourself like this, and see how you feel.
I feel like dark chocolate is a big jump. You should let her start with milk chocolate.
Mr. Girl, do you think that we could induce dysphoria in you if we did something similar? Like, let's say you were like that for like
This is a
month.
fair question.
Right. So you put on this makeup. You woke up, kept your eyes closed, and you went somewhere. They put on this makeup and the wig, and you were like that for a month.
I've actually had this experience.
And eventually,
already.
Can you explain how it went?
Yeah. So I can give you a couple. I have a lot to say. Suddenly, a lot more.
Go for it.
I made a video called America's New Dad. And for the video, I digitally aged myself. And I talked, I'd say like wholesome stuff about politics. There's 3 videos, and the weirdest one is the second one. It's about like who to vote for. I think it's called America's New Dad endorses a candidate. It was right before the 2020 election. And so I digitally aged myself, so I look probably like 65 or 70, maybe even like 75, something like that. And then it was like this long process, but eventually I got it. So I had all my clips were all of me digitally aged, and then I edited it. So in the editing process, I was looking at myself at age 70 for like, I don't know. I think I did the whole thing in one day. So I was editing for like 6 hours or 8 hours or something. And then I'm also in the video as my current age. And then when I like imported that clip, I was like, Jesus fuck, I look young. I was like, this is so weird. I had already acclimated to the idea that like I am 65. And then when I saw myself at 35, I was like, I look like a little kid. It was so strange. And then even like going to the bathroom and looking in the mirror, I was like surprised at my own face. So I think if you put makeup or prosthetics on me, I think at first it would be like, oh, this isn't me. And then I think eventually it would feel like, oh, this is me. And then if you took them off, when you took them off, I think that's when I would feel a dysphoria. Because you don't feel.
You think we could induce dysphoria in you if we did that?
Yeah, because I think a normal person doesn't feel dysphoria when you add something to their face. I think it would be once they think that is their face, and then you take it off. It's like getting your braces taken out. It feels you're like my fucking mouth doesn't feel right anymore. But you don't feel dysphoria when you put them in because you're like, well, these are braces in my mouth. Of course it feels weird. It's not my mouth.
Dysphoria is a much deeper thing, I think, because it's not something that goes away over time with kind of just getting used to and adapting to it. Whereas you take your braces out, it feels really weird for quite a long time, but eventually you get back to the normal, to it being your normal feeling of your mouth.
Yeah, I understand it's not to the same severity or persistence.
So like, wait, so if you had that experience, right, and you went out into public, and people were speaking to you and referring to you as an old person, right, as a 70-year-old, and that happened every time you went out in public, right? Yeah. But like, do you feel like this would become like a long-term condition? Like you would feel like you're the way that you look is not the way that you're supposed to be. You're supposed to look like you did in that video.
I don't think you need to draw much of an analogy for me to have the experience of lots of people talking to me as though I am a certain way or a certain thing that I don't think that I am. That I have that experience pretty regularly. So,
no, I think it's different if we're talking about like age or race or gender, right? Because there are expectations that come along with your gender or presuppositions that people make about you based on your race. Right. So,
so you're saying would it be a long-term?
People typically assign like a specific behavior to you, right? Maybe they'll say you're a pedophile or something.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah. Something like that. For example.
But that's like a specific behavior, not really.
Okay. So your analogy, they say that everybody treats me like I'm 75, but I'm not actually 75.
Yeah, but whenever you went out into society, you were treated this way.
I don't think that would ever lead me to believe that I'm actually 75, though. I would think so if I had persistent dysphoria, like the feeling of my braces getting taken out, but 100 times worse to a terrifying degree and permeating like all my thoughts to the point where I'm fucking like Zonia covering up my reflective surfaces in my house. I would think that is on me to confront that. So I guess my theory in the experiment is that transitioning is an escape from that rather than that the feeling is that you shouldn't be you or that you don't want to be you and you don't want to be in your body. And the solution is to escape to a different body. And I feel, and having talked to and thought about like trans people a lot, that kind of like jives with my experience of them is that it's discomfort and terror and shame that drives them out of the assigned gender at birth, not so much identification as the other gender. I believe. Sorry, go ahead.
There's something else there, though. Like in my case, and now I'm not speaking for all people with dysphoria, but in my case, I don't recognize the person and the features in the mirror. So this is something that's never, like, I always felt like the person that I saw in the mirror was somebody else, and it always used to freak me out, especially when I was a kid, because I would look into my eyes and I would wonder, like, what is that person thinking?
Yeah, right? I definitely believe that you've had some kind of depersonalization, or some kind of like something happened to make you feel that way. I get that's my take on it, and so again, my stance is that, or belief is that you feel better if you are female presenting because then you are taking ownership of not looking the way that you expect to or are supposed to look.
Maybe word that differently.
It's like you're taking control of the dysphoria. Like if I look at my face, and I feel like I'm older, or like my hairline is receding, or like my beard is turning gray, or like I've got lines on my face that aren't supposed to be there. But then if I put on like clown makeup or like a hat or something, then like I don't have that anymore, because it's still not my face, but it's something else that I chose, and I'm putting it on and I'm taking control of it, and I don't have to deal with like the existential dread of getting older. I can just cover it up. Versus the claim that most trans people make, which is that I feel that I'm supposed to look this other way, and I'm going towards that rather than going away from myself.
Well, like in your case, you would be aging, and so the face that you've been familiar with, it looked a certain way to you, and over time you start to see lines and such. It's usually a slow adaptation, but some people feel it more aggressively than others.
Yeah, I'm not comparing that part of it. I'm
surgeries.
comparing the discomfort with looking at oneself and how that is resolved. And I feel I believe that most, or maybe all, trans people are uncomfortable with their bodies and want to just change to any different body. And changing gender is a way to drastically
Depends
do
on the
that.
trans person.
It might.
I feel like you should add in here, like, how much you like extend this to everybody. Like, Mr. Girl also feels like people shouldn't wear makeup, and that's like
Absolutely. I think
an
makeup
issue.
is the same thing. I think being trans is just like a lot of makeup.
Right, but then I don't understand how that makes sense to you, because if that were the case, right, why wouldn't they just go out and get a bunch of tattoos and like do extreme body modification?
They do.
like
They
put
do. It's the
horns
same
on
shit. Lots of trans people
and
have
fork their
tattoos and body
tongue?
modification. Yes,
Okay,
I think
yeah, but
I
they
think
don't-
I
but they
think
don't
that
need to
shit
be
is the
trans
same.
too, right?
I think
there
it
are
is.
plenty of people.
I think it's the same shit.
No, it isn't. So
Oh,
if
well,
all the,
I think
if
that it
all
is,
the
Dooby.
problem
I think
is
that
they
it
want their
is.
body to look differently, and they have an extremely easy way to make their body look differently, without needing to go through HRT, without all the societal expectations, without people treating them like shit.
Mhm.
If they could do all that just by visiting a tattoo artist a few times a year, why wouldn't they just do that?
They do. Those are the people who get sleeves and tattoos on their faces and covered in tattoos and
That's
shit.
ridiculous.
Well, tattoos. It's not ridiculous. You can disagree with me,
It is
but
ridiculous.
Doobie.
I disagree with you because
Doobie?
it's ridiculous.
hold on.
Doobie?
Wait,
Doobie.
there definitely are people with body
Mr. Girl?
dysmorphia who tattoo their skin.
You can disagree with me that you can say it's ridiculous or whatever, but yeah, tattooing your skin is body modification, and taking
Sure.
HRT is body modification, and getting gender reassignment surgery is body modification. And so if you think of it my way, you'll just see that it's just more extreme versions of fucking combing your hair. Just exceedingly more and more extreme.
So if we're gonna go with your way of thinking, so
Yes.
if you're saying that their discomfort with their body is so extreme, right, that rather than go get a face tattoo, they've opted to take a bunch of medication and go to therapy and deal with all the social stigma that comes with being trans. It's so extreme that they'd rather do all that than go get a tattoo on their face. What's the functional difference here?
Well,
Right,
if
so
you
it
if you
doesn't-
if
it
you
doesn't
said you
seem
said
like
you
you
no,
can talk
no
them-
you said you're gonna accept my way of thinking. The way I'm thinking is that it's on a spectrum, as you know. I'm going to say this. So
Yes.
so combing your hair, putting on makeup, getting a tattoo on your arm, getting a tattoo on your face, forking your tongue. This is the amount of different person you see when you look in the mirror. That's what this graph is, right? So if you have a tattoo, you're like,
Okay.
oh, yeah, I'm a guy with a tattoo now. Look at me go. Turning into a fucking woman is way over here. Changing your name, changing how you talk, changing how you walk, changing how you move, changing your driver's license. You're basically becoming a different person. You can't say, why don't you just get a tattoo on your face instead of becoming a different person? And I think that the narratives about gender being this immutable thing in our brains allow people to more gracefully do this. It would be very weird for me to get prosthetics and take hormones to turn me into a different man and then be like, I'm Greg. And I want everybody to call me Greg. I wouldn't really have a compelling explanation.
You're not becoming a different person.
I wouldn't
You're
really
the
have a
same
compelling
person,
explanation
you've
for
just
why
modified your
people.
body.
Yeah,
It's
you're
a-
the same person.
You're the
is
same
what-
person. You've just modified your body in a way that makes you more
I
comfortable living within
believe
it.
I believe
Right,
that
so-
that transitioning is an attempt to turn into a different person.
Well, that doesn't make
Can
any
I ask a
sense.
question?
You can't
Do
say it
you
doesn't
think
make
that-
any sense. You could disagree with me.
It
but
makes negative 10 cents, okay? Because I don't think any of these people, went in the process of going through this transition.
Nobody
they're-
is no. I don't think they
they're
think that they're doing this.
internally
I think the
becoming a
only
different
trans
human
person
being,
I've ever talked to
right?
who
The
think
same
who
personality. Okay, well then what do you explain? Because it really doesn't.
Dooby-
I
make sense.
believe
Okay.
that it is a unconscious desire to turn into somebody else.
Would you say that about people who get tattoos?
Yes.
Well,
I
then
would
what's
say that
the
about
point?
people who buy
Let me
expensive
fucking
Fucking
cars.
ask
Say that.
something. Okay,
Go for it, Jay.
take one person, Mr. Girl. When they are insecure, let's say they grow up and they become confident. Do you consider those two different people?
No. Not in the sense that I'm using that term. No.
How about this? Girls who have a glow up. Girls who that
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
girls
yeah,
who
yeah. Yeah.
go
You're
from
trying-
being nerdy to putting makeup on and doing all
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
you
you
know,
want to
things.
you want
Do
to
you
be you
choose which one is the correct person?
do I choose or does the person?
Yeah, like you, that individual, they were insecure. Years later, they gained confidence. They probably
I think
act
that I
differently.
want to go back to your argument about transracialism. We don't need an extra category. We don't need to say, am I me or am I that person? So am I me before I started lifting weights or am I me now? Who's a real me? Neither, both. I'm a guy who used to not lift weights and then I started lifting weights. And I changed my body.
So then when I wear makeup, there's nothing really changing in me, correct?
You are a person who wants to look different from how you do without makeup. So you're both. I would say
Okay,
that
but
I
she's
would say
still the
that
same-
I would say that
Are you
you are applying something to your body that is stuck on your body rather than actually transforming
It
your
doesn't
body.
change. It doesn't
Can,
change anything about me, though, right?
can I ask
Honey,
a question?
you said-
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yeah.
Mr. Girl, would you say wearing clothes changes who you are or changes an aspect of who you are?
Sure.
Okay. So by your same argument, we could take the makeup thing, right?
Yeah.
We could take the same argument for makeup and say that, well, anybody who's wearing clothes is kind of diluting who they are because who they are
No,
is not
you're
their
applying a
clothes.
value judgment to any change of self. And I'm not making that value judgment. What I'm saying, the only
Okay.
graph I'm drawing is extremity. How extreme is
Uh-huh.
it? I don't even have I don't personally, if you want to get a tattoo, to escape yourself or escape your pain, like we all do things to escape ourselves, escape our pain, escape our bodies. Life is horrible and we're going to die for no reason. So it makes perfect sense that people want to escape their bodies. That's not mysterious to me at all. It's a question of how far are you willing to go to do that versus how much can you stomach being you. And I'm not saying that stomaching being yourself to the most extreme degree possible so that you are naked, meditating and staring at yourself in a mirror 24 hours a day. I'm not holding that up as like what I do or the ideal. I'm just saying that as you go further out, I see all of these things in a line. So yeah, combing your hair, wearing clothes, whatever. Putting on makeup is a little further, and putting on a bra versus a sport bra that pushes your boobs up is yet further. And then
Push-up bra.
a push-up bra, the Wonder Bra. And then as you go further and further, wait, what's the Victoria's Secret one?
It's just called a push-up. bra.
IPEX.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, you know more than me.
That IPEX shit. And then as you go further out, you start to tattoos, body modifications, forking your tongue, and then turning into a fucking woman.
Can I
think is way out there.
Can I tell you something that you sound similar to in a different argument? The argument against advancing technology. It's this belief that the human existence is dependent on suffering.
Yeah.
So any technological advancement that we are doing
Again,
is
I'm
making
not
the human race. like
I'm not placing a value judgment.
relevant.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't
you're
I can let me
just
let me reconcile this.
finish, just let me finish my
I
point
know
real quick.
what
Otherwise, I sound like a crazy
Oh,
person.
yeah, let her
Mr.
finish.
Girl,
Let her finish. Yeah.
You're basically saying that the way that you were born, the way that you look now, any improvements to it, you are like being further removed from like what you value as a human being. And I think anything that isn't from like ground zero, isn't from the start, is not like, doesn't make you less human or doesn't make your existence less valid or real. And I feel like for you, it does make it less valid.
No,
Like fixing
motherfucker,
or
that's
adjusting.
not what I said.
Okay,
let
it's
me
not
respond.
what you said. That's why I said that what I feel is that's what's coming across.
Okay, then let me clarify because I fucked up
Okay.
if that's how you feel. So let me explain it.
Okay.
1, I'm not placing a value judgment right now. We are aware that I have value judgments, and I will place them as you want if you want me to. But that's not my point right now. 2, okay, so I guess the value judgment would be, am I working out because I want to feel my body is beautiful, or am I working out because I hate my body and I want to change it? To me, those are different, and they both are coexist, and again, it's another spectrum, and they're intermingling, and it's complicated. But I feel like they should both urges and feelings can be identified, and I wonder which is more the driving force in dysphoria, if one of them is. And then 2, and gender dysphoria specifically, I mean. And then 2, I'm not saying you shouldn't transition. If you hate your body and you hate your identity, and if you see things the way I do, and that makes you want to transition, and that gives you what you need to stomach the awfulness of life, then I understand that. Like, I'm not trying to make an argument against transitioning right now. My argument is more that I want to acknowledge what's actually happening when people transition. I do not agree that it is an inner butterfly that is blossoming and that it is an act of self-love. I think it is an act of escaping some break in your relationship with yourself, or escaping death, or escaping existential dread. And those are all things that we all want to escape, and we all do it in all different ways. It's not a value judgment. But
Wait,
compared
how isn't it a butterfly?
Shut up,
though?
Dooby. He's
'Cause
trying to
that
correct
actually-
my feelings about what his
Oh,
statement
God.
is. So now I'm trying to adjust it according to
But
what he has clarified.
So
And I feel-
compared to what trans people say about themselves, it certainly sounds like a value judgment. I agree with that.
Okay, so if my feelings are adjusted now to what you're clarifying, you're not against transitioning. You are sort of
I'm
just
against
trying to
transitioning.
get-
I am against transitioning. That's just not
okay,
what
then
I'm
why
talking.
did you just said that you're not? Okay.
I'm saying I'm not trying to make that argument right now. Me saying I'm against tattooing. I'm against makeup. I'm against all of the shit I'm talking about. And so transitioning is just an extension of that, and I'm against all of them. I'm not particularly against transitioning, but I also understand it. I'm against alcohol, but if somebody says, like, I can't fucking handle it, man, I want to kill myself, I need a drink to take the
And
edge
you're
off.
against alcohol? Do you like anything that's fun, Mr. Girl?
I like The Last of
I don't
Us.
drink alcohol.
I like video games.
Last of Us?
I like
Oh,
video
okay.
games.
Good game.
I like porn. I like
That's bad.
Based.
I like
What kind of porn?
Actually, I was talking
What's
about
your
this
category?
I was talking about this with Shaylin today. I look at all different kinds of porn, minus one.
Oh, interesting. What's the
Yeah,
one?
clown porn is not healthy.
Yeah, it's called CP for
you.
CP for short, but the long version is clown porn.
Do you watch
Oh.
midget porn?
Mhm.
I have.
I have
yeah.
watched one. Yeah.
I
I've
identify as a
watched-
clown.
watched
I
a
don't
few.
appreciate that. Are you against fish costumes, Mr. Girl?
I am a. Am I? If you're gonna put on a fish costume and then tell me that I am a bigot if I don't think you're a fish, yes.
Have you ever masturbated to completion while watching like bestiality porn?
I would prefer not to get that detailed into questions about my porn history.
That's like,
Yeah, don't answer a frog for that question.
I mean, if we're
Yo,
gonna
yeah.
talk later, it's kind of important. So,
Are you a furry? Mr.
am I a furry?
Well, am
Oh,
I
is
a
he
furry? I'm not the fucking
We already
frog.
know Dooby is.
No, I am
Frogs
furry, but I'm not a furry.
frogs aren't furry.
Are you
True.
against furries?
Not you mean in the same way? No, because furries don't actually believe they're animals for the most part. They know that they're dressing up like a dog so they can like jerk off, and then right after or have sex or whatever, and right after they come, when that post nut clarity hits, they're like, "I'm not actually a dog, guys. I was just saying I was because I was horny."
They know that they're not a dog, but they still continue wearing that outfit because it makes them feel comfortable, right?
Yeah, I'm not anti-avoidance in a general sense. I think that being a furry is less avoidant than being trans.
It seems like you're
Well, being
like
a furry
opposed
is
Well-
a full body suit.
There are I would say there's more
Yeah.
honest, like Zonia strikes me as a pretty honest trans person. Like when Zonia talks
Oh,
about
thank you.
her, yeah, when Zonia talks about her relationship with her body, she's not saying like, I always knew I was really a girl. That to me, that I don't believe that. But she talks about it more the way I imagine a furry would have, just like I just am more comfortable this way. And if you know, but I also think a furry is, most furries I assume are not like, I have to cover up all the mirrors in my house to hide my disgusting human ape body, and a real like I you know, like I'm only comfortable once I'm a dog. I've not heard that. I think it's a like, I enjoy this and it's fun, which feels healthier to me, but could be done for the same reasons.
So, wait, are you
So-
against?
There's no
wearing
there's,
makeup?
there's no way to escape
Re-
death though.
regarding-
like sorry, go
Regarding the like always felt like a girl thing, I mean there was always a gender incongruence with me, going back to like my earliest memory of it was when I was 3. But part of it, it's hard to pin it down because there were other conditions at the time that are a little difficult to explain in a public forum like this, right? Because I don't
Understood.
want to talk about, you know,
Sure,
there are certain
Whatever you
things I
don't
don't want to
wanna
talk
talk
about in a public forum.
absolutely.
So I can say that at the age of 3 was the first time that I started becoming very, or at least to my memory, becoming more acutely aware of the incongruence with the way that I saw myself and the way that it was reflected back on me by others. And there were certain behaviors that I engaged in that were frowned upon and pushed back on. And as soon as it was kind of discovered that I was engaged in those behaviors, it was kind of there was something. It's hard to say so much without getting into territory that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah,
So,
just don't. That's a lot of terror to live with for a very long time.
It wasn't terror. It was just that there was
anxiety
the wall
or
there
discomfort.
pushing me back. But yeah, and so if I were to say that I always knew I was a girl, that would be incorrect, I think, because I didn't understand the concept at the time.
Yeah.
When I started actually coming to associate the feelings that I had and the negative feedback I was getting from society with gender, that was probably around like age 6-ish or so. My parents were pretty, like they were kind of hippies, right? So I don't think they really were, like they weren't trying to push me into any kind of a gender bucket, but it was like once I got out of the home and started experiencing more culture with like school and stuff like that, it was people there that were pushing me back into the gender bucket.
Yeah.
So that was where I started to get a lot of the negative feedback and started to associate it. And they'd say, only girls do that. Don't do that. Why are you hanging out with the girls? You're supposed to be with the boys and all this kind of stuff. And I'm older too. So I'm in my 40s. So the time that I grew up, things were still much more gender segregated than they are today.
Yeah.
So the contrast was very clear and obvious for me.
And I think there are a lot of trans people you could talk to who also say that I know I was born the gender I was born. Right?
I mean, one of the trans people I interviewed for my video series just said like, uh, uh, he's a trans man, but he was like, yeah, I know I'm really a woman. I just, I didn't want to face my trauma. I couldn't do it. I don't want to do it. This works for me, and it's just a way to like kind of blunt it and escape it.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dooby.
So I have 3 siblings. I have 2 sisters and now a non-binary person who used to be a sister. Right? And I was talking to them about the non-binary thing because it's pretty recent, like the last few years, and they described it to me as like, they're in a gender studies class, and they were thinking about their gender and gender identity, and them and their partner, who they were lesbians before, both of them decided that they don't really fit with the gender of like woman. So now they now identify as like non-binary with like they them pronouns and whatnot. And that was weird first off, but then it got to me like thinking about my experiences with like my gender expectations, and I did start to wonder a little bit if this non-binary thing is a thing, why wouldn't I also be non-binary, right? Is it literally just me stating that I'm non-binary? Because there are lots of things that are like stereotypically feminine that I like. I like ice skating. I like musicals, right? I like my dogs are like little puppies, right? I like painting. I like doing little sculptures. I like lots of things that are like stereotypically considered pretty feminine, right? And then I got to thinking about like my childhood and about how these like societal expectations were pushed upon me by my father, who did it in a pretty toxic.
Painting and sculpting is feminine?
I don't, but I said stereotypically, right? When we think of like a painter or like someone who's making little sculptures, I think it's like a feminine thing. Maybe I'm incorrect, but that's my stereotype.
Historically, that's the stereotype.
Yeah. So it got me thinking about like my upbringing, right, and how these social expectations were put on me. And I had a very like traditional father, right, who did this thing, was like, oh, if you cry, you're a bitch. I'll give you something to cry about. I got beat a lot. My father made me draw on puppies. He made me watch videos of people getting like tortured and killed because the neighbor was like killed in a drive-by, and I cried when I was 11, and he thought it was me being weak.
Can I ask you about the puppies?
Sure.
That was to make you more of a man?
Yes. So I was about I was like 5 or 6 years old, and we had a pit bull. Her name was Penny, and she had like 5 puppies. And I remember he called me outside, and he had like a dog food bag, like not one of the big ones, like one of the smaller ones. It's like a couple quarts or something. Like it was a pretty like small dog food bag. And he said that Penny didn't want the puppies. He didn't want to deal with selling them. So he told me to hold open the bag. He filled it with water, and then he lowered a puppy in and forced me to close the bag. And I was crying. I dropped the bag a couple times. I didn't want to do it, and he hit me, told me to do it, or I was going in the fucking bag. So eventually I did it, right? Lowered a puppy in. I held it closed until it drowned, and then he lowered another one in, and we did that for all 5 of them. And I spoke to him about that, like, I think I brought that up when I was like 12. And he told me that it was because I had to be strong, right? He told me that all the shit he did, like, because he was the kind of person where if I complained at all, I was being a bitch. Well, he's like one of those kind of dads. So if I stubbed my toe, he'd stomp my foot if I made a sound or if I cried or something. Remember once I was in the backyard and my uncle got me like a plastic BB gun, and I shot it and it bounced off a rock and hit me in the arm, and I like yelped. So in response, he took the gun and he like broke it over my arms. Right? Like my father was very strange. and
Strange.
he'd make me hold my arms out, right? And he hit me over the arms with it, and then he told me to lift them up again, and he did it again, and the entire time it was like, "Don't cry, don't cry." So, and I thought of like what that taught me about gender, and the way that I thought about masculinity. And I thought about times in my life where I had like male friends who cried about something, and it made me really fucking uncomfortable about things that are totally reasonable to cry about. Like a friend going into the hospital or something. And I started to wonder, like if I hadn't had that experience, would I be as set in my gender as I am today? And it made me wonder if like other guys have this kind of like this question, right? If you were a young man and you like musicals a little too much or some shit, do you ever like question that you're a man and start to think that you might be a woman? Or
You think
like,
those experiences made you more set in your gender?
I think so.
Because you're
In a strange way.
terrified. You're terrified to go outside the lines.
No, it drew like very strong lines around what a man was, and a lot of it is very toxic. Like I'll admit this. Like I have a lot of trouble with like toxic masculinity.
Well, yeah, that
I have a
men
lot of
drown
trouble
puppies.
being like, yeah,
It's obviously
I have a lot of trouble,
it's a
like,
weird role model to have.
yeah. I have a lot of trouble like expressing vulnerability and like emotions and that kind of shit is.
Well, yeah, it's
and-
literally been beaten out of you.
Yeah. So, and that makes me wonder, is like, because I've spoken to other guys about this kind of stuff, right? And they tell me they've had similar experiences. Nothing like actually, a couple people have had like similar extreme experiences. But most guys I've spoken to had like, the traditional dad who would tell them not to cry or rub dirt in it if you start bleeding, that kind of shit. And
Wait,
I was
rub dirt?
wondering, Mr. Girl,
Okay.
yeah, if you like cut your arm, rub dirt in it. That,
I don't
that sort
think
of
that's
shit.
that's not traditional, but your baseline is super skewed. But my
Well, what I was going to ask you is
yeah.
if you had like a similar upbringing or like what your father was like.
My father was more manageable than your father, but he would scream at me and in a rage chase me around the house and pinch me when he was angry. I remember in the car like trying to move my leg so he couldn't grab me and pinch me. But it was there seems to be like a lot of sadism in your stories, and I think that my father was
I
more.
used to say it like that, but I don't think I do anymore.
Okay, I guess yeah, that's just how it comes across at first.
Yeah, I think I see it as more as like in a very strange way, like training. And I have a very weird relationship with my father.
Well, like he's doing it out of fear, like he's trying to.
No,
like
so he's told me a little bit about his upbringing, right? And it was very similar,
I'm
in
sure.
some ways worse.
Yeah.
He told me that his father, whenever he was in trouble, his father would wrap him up in a carpet and beat him with like the old big seatbelts, the big metal ones. He like hit him with that, in the carpet whenever he got in trouble, and leave him out there for hours like that. So I don't like, dislike him for it or whatever. I understand this is what he was taught, and in the way that he always expressed it to me, it usually wasn't anger. It was like very stone-faced, like training sort of shit. Like he thought that he was like teaching me something about being a man. Very strange. But yeah, I don't know. I figured
There's no my father would just lose his temper. There was no pretense of it being good for me. I mean, I remember in high school him directly saying, I'm not screaming at you because I'm trying to help you. I'm screaming at you because it makes me feel better. So there's like this dual self-awareness, and then could turn into a joke, and then like a lot of times we got along and we're close in other ways. So it was like, as long as you don't cross certain lines, I learned, I think this is part of how I learned to read people, or at least think I can read people, was just like a survival thing of having to be very attuned to my father's emotional state. and then kind of manage it to make sure he wasn't going to like blow up at me. Which it sounds like with your father would have been completely impossible.
Yeah. Well, sort of.
I mean, if you yelp when a BB hits you, he hits you over the arm like that. I don't think there's any way to. The only thing you could do is like shut down your own emotions, which it seems like it is what you did to some degree.
Yeah. You ever seen Nightmare on Elm Street, like the old ones?
Yeah.
There's a scene that I remember seeing as a kid where Freddy Krueger, he's in like in his human form, right? And he's supposed to be like a teenager. And he's in the boiler room in the basement. And his father comes down screaming at him and starts beating him with like a belt. And Freddy just starts laughing, right? And he starts saying, there is no pain, right? There is no pain. And his father starts like to get scared. I remember when I was a kid repeating that to myself over and over and over again, right? Whenever I knew that I was going to get hit about something.
Yeah.
There is no pain. And eventually you just stop reacting to it. Like I just learned not to show it.
How old are you?
I think it's been, I'm 33. I think it's been really helpful for me in my life, actually. I think there's been a lot of times where that ability to kind of disconnect has made it extremely easy for me to deal with stressful situations.
Do you have the ability to reconnect?
Yes. I'm really good at empathizing with people, I think.
So, with yourself?
Yes, I think so. I think my issue is just like expressing vulnerability, I think. But I try to, right? I try to like open up to people and shit. It's just I don't know, it's awkward. It makes me uncomfortable. But I don't know. I was just wondering if you had like a similar experience, because some of the mannerisms that I'm like seeing in you, maybe I'm like misreading it as like this ability to read people, right? Is something that I think I developed really early from that. Maybe you got it a different way.
I think I mean, it was also kind of passed down to me. My father can read people pretty well. My grandfather could as well. So I think some of it's empathy, or I guess some of the empathy is like caring about other people, and some of it's fear and learning to quickly clock other people and how they're feeling just out of self-preservation. They feel intermingled.
Yeah, I think so. You said something that really connected with me a while back. I forget if it was like one of your talks, one of your videos, or something. But it was about empathy, right? And I think it had to do with like pedophiles and why this was like a sticking point for you. Yeah. And you said something like, you know, that you wanted to build empathy with people, and that you felt that if you could build empathy for pedophiles who were like universally hated, you could build empathy for anybody, right? Like people could learn to empathize with anybody.
Yeah, I think that I'm a bit stuck on the topic because it's like it's the group of people that we're all okay with hating, so that makes me want to say like, and to humanize them and to make it so that we're not okay with
and I totally
just hating
that.
them.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. Because the reason it like stuck with me is it's kind of what I've been trying to do in my community for the last like, I want to say I've been trying to do it like my entire life, but that's not really true. I think the first time I've had a chance to actually like engage in this specific thing is with my community on Discord for the last like 4 or 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people within this community who are like kind of social rejects, outcasts, but that kind of get dismissed as like, oh, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Right? And people don't try to empathize with them. They just kind of stick a label on them, dismiss them, and as a result, these people kind of get like stuck in this place as this thing because nobody ever bothers to speak to them as a human being.
Yeah.
And that really connected with me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like that. This thing on Twitch where if you talk to somebody, then they rub off on you and you are smeared or you've platformed them. Like, how can we talk to people who need help or need to be talked to, or whose ideas are sort of like festering in like a weird echo chamber? How can we No, they can't change if you're not allowed to talk to them.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like monopolize things. I was just kind of curious.
I'm sorry for staying out of it, but I've been having fun talking to my chat here and riffing off of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah? How's that
It's
going?
been a very good conversation. Sorry, didn't mean to overtake. So,
Oh,
Are you apologizing?
you haven't been
for
able to speak
speaking
for a
on your own
while.
stream? What the fuck?
yeah, legit.
I know, but still.
You go, Queen.
It's
I have a follow-up
Alright.
question, if that's okay. There's one thing that I am absolutely guilty of. In the mod team on my server, I have like 100 mods on the server, right? With like almost 60,000 members at this point.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm absolutely guilty of is empathizing too much, right? Being too merciful. If someone deserves to be banned, I will bend over backwards, right, to find a reason to dismiss the behavior, to say, hey, this is a one-time thing. Oh, well, yeah, but you got to understand he had a bad day, and yada, 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 right? And and it can be a good thing sometimes, because I've spoken to a lot of people who are like suicidal, and I've managed to like talk them down, right? I talked somebody out of like a mass shooting once, so it's been like a good thing, but
How'd you do that?
well, he was in the text chat on my server, and it was before Discord had like in voice chat audio. I'm sorry, video. So if you wanted to have like a call, you needed to like be in a group DM or like in a DM with somebody, and then they could like turn on the camera in the call, right? And he was in the text chat just talking about like being in front of a supermarket, and how he's gonna live stream himself shooting up the supermarket, and then he's gonna wait for the police to kill him, right? And he was gonna do it. He was already there, and he started DMing me to tell me that this was happening, right? This person was saying this. So I asked somebody to get me into the group DM, got me in, and he had his camera on. He was in front of a supermarket with a gun. It's like a really young looking guy. And so I tried to talk to him, and when he saw that I was there, he left. So I had to like privately call him over and over again until he answered the call, and then got on the camera again. And I was talking to him, and he was saying, this is it. And he was sick of this, and he always fucks up, and why is he like this? And so I spoke to him for like 45 minutes while he's in the parking lot in front of the supermarket, leaning against the car with a gun in his hand. And I eventually managed to talk him into walking home, putting the gun away in his pocket, walking home. And I talked to him the entire time there.
How did you talk him into going home? What did you say?
I just try to talk to him about like how, I think I remember focusing on how young he was, how this thing that happened where he had like fallen out with a friend, right? And the thing was he felt like anytime he had a friend, he fucked up and they left him, and everybody always left him, and he could never keep a friend. Nobody liked him, and his family hated him, and everybody hated him. So why even be around anymore? And he's been wanting to kill himself, but he's too much of a coward too. So instead he's going to shoot up a supermarket and wait for the cops to come, right? So I started talking to him about himself, like what he likes to do, what happened with a friend. He wouldn't really want to tell me details about that, but I got the impression that it was like a problem with like a woman or something. And I just started talking about like stuff that I've been through, and how I kind of worked through it. And yeah, over time he put the gun away, walked home. And I think because I've talked down a lot of people who are suicidal, right? And to me the key is always to like just let them know that you care, right? That you give a fuck. And make them feel like someone notices them for a little while, because I feel like that's really all it took.
How many times do you talk people down that are suicidal?
At least 2-3 times a month, over the last like 5 years.
From like your Discord server or like in real life?
His
No, from the
server is
Discord
okay.
very large. Yeah, very large server.
Yeah.
Okay, the server I
I've-
get. If this was in real life, I was gonna be a little concerned.
Yeah,
I mean, I can get it. I talk a lot of people down frequently as well, and I'm not even dealing with that many people, not as many people as Dooby is.
yeah, it's I feel like people try to separate like online and real life, right, quote unquote. But I think the reality is, for a lot of people that spend a lot of time on Discord, on the internet, is this is where they get most of their social interaction, right? So to them, the friend group explosions, the arguments, the snubs, the blocking, that feels as real as your friends turning your back on you, in real life, quote unquote. And
Wait, are you saying my friends online aren't like real?
no,
Well,
I'm saying they are real. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that they are
Oh, okay.
real, and that people try to say that it's not the same, that it's not real. But I think people genuinely feel that way, especially if
It's realer.
especially if like COVID, right? Most people are getting like the majority of their social interaction on the internet, right? So that's just, I think it's kind of silly to say that it's not real, because it is. People definitely feel it the same way. So yeah, that kid. I talked him down, managed to get him to walk home, put the gun in the trash can outside, then get into bed, spoke to him for a little bit more. And then I told him to call me in the morning. And as soon as I got off the call with him, I called the FBI. And I managed to gather like some of the street signs and shit, and the name of the supermarket. I called them, gave them all the information I had from the Discord server about who he was. And yeah, a couple of days later, a detective from New York called me on my cell phone, and they told me they found him as like a 17-year-old kid who's just, really struggling.
They called
Well,
you back to give you an update?
Yeah, a detective from New York, because I'd sent them the recording of the call and all that stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, that's I don't know. I forgot what we're talking about, but no, I just think it is extremely important to empathize with people. That's why that really connected with me when you said that. I feel like not enough people do that. Too many people are just willing to write people off as being like dirty in some way because they said a certain thing, or you think they think a certain thing, or even if they do believe that thing, you think they think it because they're like evil or something, and not because they just think the wrong thing, or they've been introduced to information that you don't have, or whatever, right? They have different preferences, and the reasons that they have those preferences you could just talk them out of that shit, like most of the time. For example, like most Holocaust scenarios, quote unquote, I've ever met on the internet are young guys who are convinced by like memes and infographics on like Pol. They don't know shit about the Holocaust. They don't know shit about Nazism, right? They fall into this stupid echo chamber, these memes, and they think they know what the fuck they're talking about. And if you have the patience, you can definitely talk them out of that shit. You can walk them through it from point to point about why all this is wrong, everything they've been told is bullshit, and you can definitely pull them out of that. I've done it. I can't count how many times. And I'm not the only person who does this, right? Like I have a mock team on the server, like I said, over 100 people. Many of them talk people down from like suicide and do this kind of shit like all the time. So I don't know. I feel very protective of the community. And I wonder, Mr. Girl, if you feel protective of your community in that way, because your focus is empathizing with people and building empathy.
Yeah, especially because I have them calling me on my stream to talk about their feelings or lives. I do. And I think you made you make a good argument, or the story is just like a good story about how it's much more dangerous to not empathize with people than it is to empathize with them.
I agree. I think that's why I also reached out. Part of the reason, because I
To me,
feel like, yeah, because I feel like most people are way too quick to demonize people that they disagree with over like the smallest things. And I remember when people could be friends across political aisles, and people could platform each other, without facing this crazy backlash, and people could understand each other on like a deeper level. So it's just kind of sad to see how quickly people and how enthusiastically people polarize themselves.
Yeah, people have beliefs that are unintentionally driving it. Like a lot of lefties will, for example, say, you know, if someone has Nazi beliefs, that no one should talk to them. It's like, okay, now the only people that are going to talk to them are like the craziest fucking, you know, Nazi person they can find.
Or
It's
even
just
if
going to
they
get
had
worse.
Nazi beliefs, even if they had Nazi beliefs in the past, but they don't hold them anymore. Well, they did it in the past, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have a feeling everybody here would kind of agree with the idea that we shouldn't like ostracizing people just makes them go to other people who have been ostracized for similar reasons, people of like mind, and it creates they end up in their own echo chamber that reinforces those things with the additional bitterness and antagonism towards society that ostracized them in the first place. So it's not going to be beneficial. It's only going to make the problem worse. It'll fester, and it'll probably eventually break out of its confines to do something dangerous.
Yeah, like the video I made about Vosh was very critical and appealed mostly to right-leaning people. It's like after I made that, I got invited on a bunch of right-leaning streams, talked to, you know, so, in some cases, very far right-leaning people. And every single one of them basically said, you're the most pleasant left-wing person that I've talked to. You know, they all know that I'm a Bernie supporter and pretty far left-wing, but just talking to them without assuming that they're, you know, inhuman basically, and just being willing to talk to them and hear them out on certain things seems sort of a prerequisite for actually changing anyone's mind. At the very least, just being able to engage in a civil conversation. And I had suspected that would be the case, but I was kind of surprised at seemingly how few of those conversations these people had had, right? It's like, well, perhaps if people are willing to just speak with them civilly, you know, the probability that they would hold somewhat extreme views would be lessened, right?
I think like I agree with you guys, and I do find a lot of value in having spaces where you interact with people who think different than you, whether that be like your space or being able to hop on here like Star's panel. But I do find value in there being some like safe spaces to avoid conflict like this. Um, and I feel like if there were more available like safe spaces, or if there were actual content creators who, let's say, feel very strongly about not platforming someone like mrgirl, sorry to call you out, or somebody like fucking Dooby, and listen, how the fuck those people cope watching you and Dooby disagree and trying to figure out whose side that they would be on. I would enjoy watching that. But the fact that those people insert themselves and like their opinions into spaces like this instead of like actually forming safe spaces, I feel like hurts those communities that really do want a place like on Twitch.
Yeah, they can have a space. They can have a space. I just don't want it to be imposed on my space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But instead of like creating that space, they want you to make us like that space for them, and that's where I'm not on board.
Stardust.
Yeah.
You know, it means a lot to me. Right.
Sorry?
That you did that.
Awkward silence.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. It means a lot to me that that you agreed to do that with me. So I really appreciate it.
Well, it was
I
not
feel
hard
like
to agree to. I think it was harder for you to do it than it was for me to go along with it.
I don't think I could not do it. I think I empathize with you, and there was something about the message that you were giving that spoke to me on a different level. That these topics, obviously, like things like consent and things like rape and these hard topics that we talk about. I know they're not easy for you to talk about, and I know they're not easy for me to talk about, and I think that's why I empathized and I felt like I connected so much, because even though these things hurt us to talk about, we still do them. You know, it comes from a place of hurt, but we still choose to go forward with that. So, yeah, I really do appreciate that.
So I remember my question, actually. So I was laying out that I'm guilty of over empathizing with people, right? And not really knowing when to cut someone off, right? And in my context, it just means ban them from the community. And I literally hate fucking doing that. Because I've had people like literally cry at me and like DM calls about how they have no one to talk to, they have no other friends, and yeah, like it's awful, right? And I wonder, Mr. Girl, is there like a line for you, right? So for me, it's like doing malicious shit to other people, so like doxing, like spreading news around, shit like that, right? Like just intentionally, maliciously hurting other people. Is there a line for you where you would need to like stop empathizing or cut someone
off? In this Discord server?
Just in your community generally. Right?
Yeah,
so if someone came,
I mean the community is based in a Discord server, so I would say the rules of the server are: don't break the law, don't be under 18, and yeah, if somebody doxed somebody else, for sure they would get banned. I'm not that involved in the moderating of the Discord server, which I think might be a good thing, because it would be hard for me to kick somebody out of the community, but I recognize the need to do that. So, you know, I have a mod and a mod team for that reason.
So you just like avoid doing it yourself, basically. You take it out of your hands.
Yeah, I like the decentralization of power.
Okay.
And I think that like also because a lot of the people in the server really look up to me, I think that I have to take a step back from the actual like lording over them. I think it's too much.
Well, how tall are you? Can I ask your height? You don't have to answer. That's personal.
Yeah, I'll answer, but I have a rule. I did set this boundary with my chat that I don't answer questions about my body or talk about my body. But
oh, okay. No, don't answer.
Since we're best friends,
okay.
According to your stream titles,
you are my best friend.
Yeah, I don't know if the rest of you know this, but without ever having spoken to Chaeiry, she started titling her streams things like "Mr. Girl is my best friend," and I would just like see it in my feed and be like, "This is super fucking strange," but very funny. I found it very funny, and then like your chat would get mad at you, and then like watching you fight with your chat over the title. What?
They were so mad.
Yeah, they were super. Yeah, watching you fight with your chat and then continue to do it was very funny. I'm 5'10" or 5'11". It's like 5'10" and a half.
Okay. Yeah, I would look up to you.
You already look up
Literally.
to me, motherfucker.
You're as tall as my father. That's strange.
Why'd you have to bring it to the dad, dude?
Because that's what he was thinking about.
Yeah, so
That on the mind.
I know.
Yeah.
So, really quickly, Dooby, because I was actually also an admin of a somewhat large server, not nearly as large as yours, obviously, but like 4,000 people. I had almost the exact opposite moderation policy of you. I was very quick to ban people, and that's because I encountered the same things over and over again. There's a certain kind of person who is, I would say, very toxic to the rest of the community, and there's a lot of different reasons that could be. But basically, I came to the conclusion that these people would always try and skirt the rules. They were usually the people that would ask about the rules the most often, so that they would know, exactly what they couldn't do, but they would do things that are unhealthy. Yeah, exactly. And it got to the point where I would bet with people when someone started asking about the rules. I'll be like, we're going to ban that person in a week, because it just always happened. Everybody who would inquire about the rules always broke them, right? So the only way that I found to keep a healthy community was to be very liberal in banning people, because some of these people, if they had stuck around, everyone would have just left, right? Because they'll do things like sea lioning or just dominating conversations or spamming chat with nonsense. I mean, any number of things that aren't, they aren't ban worthy most of the time, but they will sort of ruin a community. So I'm curious, how do you really deal with that? Because being very liberal with banning people is the only way I ever found to deal with it.
I don't know. I guess we built a server culture around shit talking, being okay with shit talking. People in the voice channels tend to be pretty aggressive. If you talk over them, they're going to talk over you too, and everybody's going to tell you to shut the fuck up without a mod even being there. It's very I don't know how to explain it. It's a very like I imagine the community is like a bar, right? And maybe this is because people tell me that a lot of times they come home from work and they get on the server and they're playing a video game, and until they're in bed they're hanging out on the server yelling at people about shit, right? About politics or philosophy or life or whatever the fuck, right? So it's kind of like a bar, like a virtual bar. And that culture of like banter, shit talking, abrasiveness is deep in the community. The servers is not for everybody. I think the people who would favor a more gentle, friendly space, there are channels for them there too. There's a spot for them there too, but they're far less they're far less common, just because they, if you like a community where everybody's respectful all the time and nobody says what they really think because they're concerned about the rules and name calling, all this kind of shit. Now that there's a place for that. It's just not on my server usually. I think people are much more honest with each other about things they're passionate about when they can be loud and aggressive and call each other names if they feel the need to. Right, so long as the discussion is flowing and you don't become like bogged down like insults. So it's difficult, right? But I feel like we've managed to cultivate a pretty good community.
You guys have any tips? Yeah, I think Doomer, you sound a little authoritarian for me. I feel like do you enjoy banning people?
Nobody else, basically everybody else on the server had a similar philosophy to Dooby's, and the server was dying and people were leaving.
Do you
because there were
enjoy
toxic
banning people?
No, I just felt that I had to. I was the only
Do you
person
feel
who was
bad
willing to
about
do
it?
it. No, I basically, if I was to set up a Discord server, I probably will soon. Like the first rule is basically going to be the health of the community comes before everything else. So
Yeah, I
most
think
people
that
won't violate that.
Before
Yeah.
you?
I mean, well, presumably, I'm not against the health of the community if it's my Discord, right?
I would say that's
But-
that's probably the unspoken rule on my server that I see getting enforced a lot is like don't do shit that can get the server banned. I'd say that's pretty much the only rule. Like there's no.
That's basically like the line on my server too. Like Discord hates political servers in general.
Yeah.
Mine is like the largest and most active political server, and we get lots of shit from Discord.
All right. So how many people do you have?
It's
He's like
close to
60K.
60,000 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just broke 1,000. And so I still have the same fantasies of like maybe we just did such a good job of setting the tone that we won't need blah blah blah. That's obviously going to fall apart as more people join. And we have people joining specifically to try to get the server banned. That's happened a few
That
times.
happens for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so like that's some of the more extreme stuff. But I was talking about not even, not even TOS stuff, but like
Yeah.
one of the biggest problems we had were that there would be someone, for example, that would join every single conversation and would never stop talking, even though they had no idea what they were talking about, right? and it sounds funny, and it sounds like, well, why would that be a problem? But
well, yeah,
like,
it's
half
spam.
the server
It's like
left over-
it's like verbal spam.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's very difficult to categorize that under an area that would make it ban worthy, right?
I'd
But I
probably
was
just ban
basically
them. I'd probably
making-
ban them
Saying
from
stupid.
voice chat.
Well,
It depends. So if they're just talking, like if they're actually trying to contribute to the conversation, but they're just not because they don't know enough, We've had some people like that, and what we usually mute them for a few minutes if we feel like they're derailing or they're disrupting, which is just for disrupting the flow of the conversation, right? And mute it for 10 minutes, explain what they did wrong in DM so they don't feel like they're being publicly like humiliated. And
Oh my god, you
then-
guys are such softies. I'm with Doomer on here. Listen,
Oh, God.
I ban people the second they call my cat fat. Just like nip it in the butt, make them fucking request unban or something like
Okay,
that.
but you're
These
first of
motherfuckers
all,
won't act
you're
right
over.
Body
unless
shaming
they
a
say
cat
shut
is
down.
pretty bad.
You're too sensitive.
No,
Well,
I'm not
here's
too
the-
sensitive. My cat is sensitive. I'm just
You're too
thinking about
I let
sensitive.
my
people-
I think you're too
people-
sensitive to your
actually,
chat. I watch
I
your
feel like
shit.
shit talking me is is also a huge part of the server culture. Like most of the memes that are on the server are just shit talking me like constantly, and it's beautiful. And I think
It's gonna-
if you're gonna run a community, you have to be a little like you have to have like thick skin. Like, people are gonna shit talk.
I think it depends. I think it depends on what the community culture is too. Like I
too
used to
fucking
run
sensitive.
no, I used to run a community that was like primarily like female dominated, and they were shitposty and they were trolls. They were like very toxic, but just in a different way than the typical like troll group. But we'd have pretty like you could tell pretty quickly if somebody jumped in and you knew they weren't like going to be a great fit for the community. And sometimes certain communities, I think, to make it a space that's friendly for specific people does require a little bit harsher of a moderation policy.
How does your cat feel about
yeah.
Rubenesque?
I don't know what you just said. Ruben?
I said, how's your cat? No, Rubenesque. It's an old word. It's a euphemism. Portly?
For Dave
Are you
Rubin?
getting into bestiality right now?
Big-ass cat.
No. Well, yeah. It's. I think it means large, but in a good way.
As long
Yeah,
as
it's
we're not
like
body shaming the
paintings.
cat.
It's like voluptuous.
It's
or
from it's from the paintings by I don't know what the person. It's Reuben something. So
He's a normal sized cat, and I'm not sensitive, Mr. Girl. Don't
You
ever
are.
call me sensitive.
You guys both. Stardust, you get pretty pissed off at your chat too sometimes. I feel like you guys both are pretty
I
sensitive.
kind of play it up. When I'm with my chat. My chat knows that. Like honestly, like I've been on the internet for a while. I do play it up with my chat. A little bit. Like I'll pretend to be offended by something, but
Would you
yeah,
ban
not
somebody
usually.
for criticizing you?
It depends on how they do it. So if they're constructive with it, if they give me actual feedback, then
Or they just say you're
no.
dumb?
If they say I'm dumb, it depends on the context. I think it really depends on the context.
I guess
So,
just since
Usually you fight with them when that happens and you talk shit
yeah,
back
usually I
to them.
do. I talk
Yeah.
shit back to them, and then they'll start spamming the hydrate thing because they think it's funny. And it's like we're waterboarding you thing. So yeah, it's funny, but also you guys are racist. You guys are.
I guess
racist.
just because my content's so provocative, I just assume that like my own fans are gonna constantly be like attacking me all the time.
You probably can't relate to me here, but most people watch me so that I yell at them. It's like a fetish that some people have.
can understand that, yeah.
What do you mean? What
I
what-
recognize the tone of the streamers. So like Chaeiry's,
what do you
we all
mean?
recognize kind of Chaeiry's tone, and we recognize Stardust tone, and so we kind of know what's going on, even if it seems serious or
They're
it seems.
spamming hydrate right now. It is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
What do you mean I
see
can't
this?
relate to you, Chaeiry?
I'm just saying, I don't think people are coming to you to be yelled at.
You don't
They
think
come
people
to
are, you don't
you
think
to
people are
yell at
coming to me
you.
for some stepmother femdom?
I don't
You don't think that's
so.
what they want?
No, if that's what, if
Maybe a
that's the type of audience
stepfather.
you're trying to pull for, you aren't advertising correctly.
What? Oh, I see. What fetish do you think my audience is? What itch do you think I'm scratching with my
What?
my?
Listen, please don't set me up for like the pedophile joke like this, okay?
No, I'm not.
We're best friends. Don't make me do you like that.
I know. I'm asking. What fetish do you think my content scratches? What itch do you think it scratches?
Consensual
That one, put
non-consent.
it down there.
Oh my God!
set
Did you
me
see my
up
shirt?
here.
I'm-
No,
I'm
it's your
so-
new shirt.
Take your panties off. Very nice. Very nice.
What
Huh?
color are they, Mr. Girl?
The hypothetical android panties. I was thinking.
No, yours.
Oh,
right now.
mine. You mean in this imaginary scenario, or my underwear
real life.
right now?
No, like now.
I'm not answering
now.
that. No,
Okay.
I can't do that.
Damn, who's the uncomfortable one now?
I'm not
Jeez.
uncomfortable.
No,
it's just a boundary. It's just a boundary.
Yeah, I'm
I
just joking. I'm
understand.
just joking.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I feel like your audience comes to you for. I think the empathy thing is really big, but I think a pretty large portion of them like to see you make other people uncomfortable. And it's like one of those cringe compilations, but it's like interactive. I think it's like one of those things, which is cool. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's
I think
pretty-
Can I interrupt for a second? For just 1 second. Chat, if you guys want to fucking waterboard me, I need some fucking subs first, okay? I need you to fucking subscribe. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, sub to
Continue.
Stardust. Sub to Stardust. Stop abusing her free of charge. Actually go and spend a little. Give her something to make it worth it. Come on, guys. We all love Stardust.
They don't.
Doobie, I
They want
agree
me
that there
down.
is some psychosexual interrogation that my chat enjoys watching happen. But I will say that I think you know me mostly from Twitch, but I have a lot of content where that is not me making other people
Yeah, I've watched
uncomfortable.
them.
I guess I am making the audience uncomfortable, or myself, as Stardust pointed out, and I appreciate you pointing that out. A lot of my content makes me uncomfortable, but yeah, it is. What do you think people like watching that?
I think for a lot of these people, you're seeing what they might have thought now and then in their life, but they were too socially aware to violate the stigma,
Yeah.
So you break the boundary, which ironically is I think the name of your album,
Yes.
and
I don't know if that's
and,
ironic.
that
I
kinda
feel like
gets
that
me
was
going.
partly intentional.
Yeah, it's probably intentional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I know
yeah,
it was.
but like I
I
said,
named it.
I think that's a good thing. All right, I'm not saying like this is like bad content.
Yeah. No, I know.
I think
I
there's
know.
a place for that for sure.
Have you ever seen the movie Road Trip?
Yes.
Yes.
Tom Green,
Yeah.
when he's feeding the rat to the snake, that's you to me. I don't really understand what's going on, but you're so interesting while you do it that I just want to keep watching.
Like a snake unhinging its jaw and eating a rat.
Like it's like you're feeding a rat to a snake, and for some reason like you're playing with the rat first and like teasing the snake, and then I just like can't look away.
It's a little sexual, but okay.
Thank you.
What? That's not sexual. That's
It's sexual and it's okay.
carnal.
That's carnal, sexual, whatever.
Like no, that's something's gonna eat something. It's like
Hey, how is
playing with
feeding
food.
a rat to a snake sexual? Can someone break
That is
this down?
not sexual.
It kind of turned me on. I don't know.
It is kind of sexual. A snake is
It's like when I
everything a
talked
snake
about
does is
jerking off-
sexual.
Well, okay, Mr. Girl thinks that animals are sexual. I talked to him about zookeepers who
Okay.
jerk
that's fair.
animals off.
And I said it was hot.
Yeah, he said it was hot, so
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think
Interesting.
it's hot to jerk animals off. Yeah, I don't think it's hot.
That's
I'm sorry.
objectively
But you know,
wrong.
I respect you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the way that Tom Green just like talked about it and like analyzed it and was like preparing like the snake and the rat for it. It was like, I don't know, just go back and rewatch it and tell me if you see yourself in there.
I will. Thank you
You're welcome.
for the Vision Quest assignment. I'm going to do it.
When you meet someone in real life and they ask what you do on the internet, like what do people know you for? Tell them, it's kind of like, watching someone feed a rat to a snake.
I will. I think that'll be the most
See what their
concise
reaction
way.
is. That would be I would do that just to enjoy the awkwardness.
People
of
never.
that
People are very
response.
surprised that I do anything when they meet me. I think I come off as very mild mannered. I'll be like, and I'm also a rapper. When I meet somebody new, and they're like, but really,
A really good rapper,
thank you.
by the way.
I appreciate that.
It's a very wholesome panel. I haven't been called a racist in like 30 minutes.
What's unwholesome
Okay.
about calling you? I'm not. Look, when I call you a racist,
I understand
ex-
there's no
I
moral
ex-
judgment. I get it.
yeah,
You
I
said you wanted
accept
to eat
you.
the racism out through your
You're racist.
butthole. To be fair,
I accept you.
I do have a question. Can I ask a question? I'm gonna ask a question. I asked this last panel, but I think it's still a very interesting question. Do you think that there's like an evolutionary reason why when we eat spicy food, it burns on the way coming out, like it burns our buttholes?
I do not eat spicy food at all.
Well, wow.
I believe.
Wow. Okay. Oh, now I'm struggling with this, Dooby. I've been essentializing your ethnicity for so long now. How am I going to
I
cope?
told you I'm American. I know brown, born in East LA. I'm American. Okay, I'm not Mexican. I know you're fucking racist, but I'm American.
Why does your butt have to hurt? Why
I
does
don't
your
like.
butt
I don't
have
like.
to
I'm
hurt?
trying to
while I eat,
remember-
so I don't eat spicy food.
I took a class called The Psychology of Perception,
Uh-huh.
and I remember there being something about similar cells, like taste buds in your butthole or something like that. Maybe not that. There's some similarity, I think, between your butthole and your mouth.
Oh, dude,
besides the obvious.
I've been preaching this for like a year. Like when
Wait,
two
are you saying
people
we have
kiss-
taste buds in our assholes?
No, I don't remember. It was something like that. There's like some structure that like makes it react similarly, or I'm making this up. I don't remember. I shouldn't have said anything.
I've been talking about this for like a year straight, okay? When two people kiss, they connect and they make one giant butthole. It's just like two buttholes connected, and it's like a never-ending butthole. It's fucked up.
That's
I don't
true.
like
You'd have to be really like majorly French kissing to get that going on.
No, you,
No.
I
To
feel
the
like
point-
when
or
the
otherwise it's
two
like a
lips,
broken straw.
when the lips touch, dude, when the lips touch,
You've become
the
one butthole.
beginning becomes a butthole and the ending becomes a butthole. That's all you are.
So you could like
Disgusting.
you could like hand someone a note with like a box, yes or no, and it says, "Do you want to become one long butthole?"
Yeah, I guess you could if you think that's romantic. I think it's disgusting. So
I think it
Sometimes
should be a
romance is
Hallmark
disgusting.
card.
All right,
Would you
I
like
don't
to
think-
become one butthole with me?
guys, I gotta go soon.
okay,
Is there any?
let me let me
Final
count the
thoughts,
votes for the two polls that I did. Usually I do like 5.
I didn't share the other poll yet. Can you give me it?
Yeah, I shared it in your chat already, but yeah, I'll give it to you. I'm on it. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Is Nick
there were
Diora's
two-
cow cup an emote now?
I need the second one. I already got
Yes,
the first
it is
one.
an emote. Yeah, that's the second one. So it looks like, from what I can see, right? Topic 1, about eating inedible objects. Mr. Girl came in first, Zonia was second, and Dooby was third. And then
I feel like that's not
topic
fair
2,
because he never told me which part of my body he'd nibble on to get the racism out.
The racism is part of your body. We'll talk about this more later.
He just eat me? What the fuck?
You gotta wait for the votes to come in on the second one.
Okay.
Also,
This-
Dooby, eating ass is in. Stop making it sound like a weird
I would
thing.
never do that. No, that's actually disgusting. If you eat ass,
Especially
you're
spicy ass.
unironically a
Liberate
degenerate.
yourself.
You're a degenerate, and you probably should be in a cage somewhere. Okay.
Yo, that's where the
Liberate
poop
yourself,
comes out.
Dooby.
I'm not about that. I
Oh,
don't
you're
like that. You know?
Okay, are you kidding me? After all the shit you just said, you're saying you're not about that. You eat the butt. Let's face it.
I don't eat the butt, dude.
Well,
Butts
you-
are scary.
then
You're
I
you should.
cry every
strangely obsessed
time,
with
dude.
buttholes and like shit that comes out of them.
You're obsessed
would
with
not eat
buttholes.
ass. I feel
I'm
like
dude.
I, feel
I know
like
2 years into marriage, I'm gonna have to give it up, but I'm not ready for that right now. I'm not ready for it.
I feel like we're gonna
Scared.
see some weird German scat porn on your desktop at some
No.
point.
What's
I
the
don't
second?
look at
Put on your
porn.
Tinder
What's the second
profile, no
poll?
butt stuff.
Oh, right. Okay, let's look at topic 2. Topic 2, Mr. Girl came in first, Zonia came in second. Chaeiry came in third. So, Mr. Girl is a winner. So that's who I raid. So,
Oh wow.
thank you guys for joining me.
Wow, you're turning all these people into pedophiles. Oh my goodness, that's disgusting.
Come on in, guys.
Really?
The water's warm.
Not only are you platforming him, you're sending your viewers in. Man.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
true.
the most
Platforming
irresponsible
videos,
okay?
platforming I've ever seen. We've got
you know
Dooby on
what?
here, we've got
I'm-
Mr. Girl, you got me. This is totally irresponsible.
This is probably the most wholesome Chaoscast I've had with the most controversial figures in it. It's great.
Yeah, we
We're
showed
nice
them.
people.
Yeah, we showed them. Okay, we're rating Mr. Girl. Kat, thank you for joining me. Please
come back again. I'm here 7 days a week because I fucking hate myself. And
Jesus Christ.
and yeah, I will see you guys soon. Please enjoy yourselves in Mr. Girl's chat. Be good. Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you for joining me, guys. I really appreciate that. That was fun. So
It was a
Yeah.
great
Thanks
for
one,
having
It was a lot of
Star.
fun.
yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
crowning me
Yeah.
the victor. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah. No, this is a good one. I really enjoyed this. Even when it got like super deep into kind of like my dysphoria and stuff, I don't actually mind talking about that stuff. So it was kind of interesting to have somebody sort of dig into that
Yeah.
with me on a panel, because normally there's not really a reason for it to ever come up. So the only time I've
Yeah.
ever really talked about it is in like private conversations with people. So
Well, I appreciate you humoring me. And
Yeah,
I
no
look
problem.
forward to
Three-
our experiment.
All right, I have 3 hours to wind down. Mr. Girl, best
Yeah.
friend. I'll see you
Yeah.
on Monday.
See you Monday.
Bye, guys.
see you, Cherry. Bye.
right.
See you
Talk to you
later.
guys
All right.
later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Mr. Girl.
Au
Bye.
revoir.
Au revoir. Okay. Crowning me sounds... Everything fucking sounds sexual. All right. We're going to look at the donations. And I'm going to read them to you. And I have to keep streaming. Yeah, I'll stream a little bit more. We'll chat a bit. The shirt, yeah, Shaylin drew this. She actually drew this in colored pen. No, I think she drew this with a marker on paper and then scanned it in to make the shirt. But I have the original, which is cool. It's the first Mr. Girl shirt ever, and we've been only dating for like 2 or 3 months. Discord link that works. Is somebody giving you that? Discord link seems to be broken. I think I can make one. Can I? Wait. That's weird. It's like not letting me create one. I don't understand. Okay, maybe I can't make one. Anyway, somebody will figure it out. Mr. Girl Shop. Yeah, there's a Mr. Girl Shop at maxcarson.com. And that's Carson with a K. Okay. Merrick will not talk to me on stream. No, she said private conversation only. And then I was like, well, do you want to talk? And you can see that like I'm trustworthy. And then she said that I was an adept manipulator and that she was no longer comfortable talking to me at all. We haven't communicated since then. She did talk some shit about me, but I'm like, that's fine. Okay. Super chat. Or what's it called? Don't know. $1 from Tranonymous. You describe transness as starting from identity and acting according to that identity. I think it's the opposite. My actions have been pathologized, and an identity has been constructed around that. That's a fair argument of flipping it around. You know I don't see it that way, but I see what you're saying. There's a lot of subs and bit donations this morning, just not through the Streamlabs donation link. Not sure where I can see them. Yeah, well, will you tell me where? Because I don't want to miss them. From yesterday after the stream, I got a couple. Icarus Inundated gave me $5. Hey man, love your content, music, and happy to see you on the rise. Keep your head up and know that some people out there understand what you are doing. I appreciate that. Thank you. And thanks for the trans argument. I appreciate that too. I appreciate you guys pushing back on what I am saying and what I think. Anonymous gave me $10. How can I deal with the chilling effect I feel with regards to being true to myself and speaking my mind when I have a lot to lose with regards to my career, family, etc.? I feel like I'm abandoning my humanity and it hurts my soul. I envy your bravery. Some of it's bravery, and some of it's what you're describing of just being in pain and feeling like I don't want to hide or be closeted or keep myself to myself. It is weird though. It is like at first I wanted to say like, what's the point of having a family and friends and like a career if you're lying to keep them all? But it's not that simple. There is like a big loss in losing people and relationships, even if you're lying to keep them, because they are still connecting to part of you. There's just another part that you're hiding, and it doesn't totally invalidate the relationship. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. Also, like, all relationships involve some amount of dishonesty. Like, you can't just blurt out every single thing you're thinking constantly all the time. Like that person in the Discord, they were talking about having to ban just because they wouldn't stop talking. I feel like there's like an emotional version of that where you like just pelting the other person nonstop with everything you're thinking. I think you just have to figure out what balance you're able to accept, if any. It's all pretty painful. Shin Pete gave me $3, said, "You don't gotta hide, homie. We know you was a rapper before." Stoltmeister gave me $5 and said, "Here's donation 3. I'm feeling generous." Oh, thank you. That's it for the last couple days. For today and last time. Okay. Just because you respect Mr. Girl doesn't mean you have to say all the things that he says. Yeah, it's true. Like, in some ways, the shit I'm saying, I'm playing life on hard mode. Or I have been. Now that I'm, like, seeing success for it, I can tell you about, like, my personal life, and you'll see me go through, like, struggles here. But also, like, I've also made a career out of it. So it's like, yeah, I don't think you can make, like, a direct comparison to, like, trashing your career or like your marriage, or not trashing, but allowing it to fall apart by starting to blurt out your inner thoughts if it wasn't set up that way. It's not, I don't think it's as simple as like you should just be like Mr. Girl and or try to, and like to hell with the consequences. Yeah, I think that's a good thing to have pointed out. Please talk to Infrared. If you're not going to say Infrared, these nuts. Okay. Oh, yeah. Hey, it's you. You're the one who was telling me that I own that girl going to the hospital. I have thought about that more. I still don't agree with you, but I've thought about it. From the eating disorder satire article that I wrote. Infrared is a real guy. Nice. Okay. I'll check it out. Yeah, any suggestions? If you put in the Discord under video suggestions, I gotta make a list of people that I should talk to, and then try to reach out to them. But yeah, I'm open to talking to any of these people. Okay. Oh, Stardust says go here and look under the activity feed. Stream manager, activity feed. Oh, okay. I can see who cheered and who subscribed. But there are no messages, right? There isn't anything to read. I see a lot of people followed me and subscribed, and I appreciate that. But I feel like you guys don't want to hear me read the name of every single person who subscribed. Call out the names who gifted and say thanks.